Oh, wow, we made it through.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 18th, 2020. This is episode 278. And today, Nuke hack vax Flak. And I'm not Dr. Seuss, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious. We bring you a well-rounded, biblically grounded intake of world events. So thank you for joining us live or later on the podcast app or some app that plays podcasts. We appreciate your presence.
Yes, welcome. Welcome to all. We are back. It is the end. It is the Friday of the first week.
It is the end. End of it all.
It is the Friday of the first week of the vaccination, ramp up in the United States. And so we'll have a lot to talk about, checking out what's floating around the interwebs as well as the mainstream news. But I don't know. What else? Anything that just must be said before we jump right in?
No. Let's jump right in. There's no time today.
Right No, there's no time.
Yeah, so just a brief, as you know, we touch on the election stuff because that's not our thing really, is to get too political or anything like that. But we do want to report this story here. This was published a couple hours ago on Axios. It's making its rounds on social media. Scoop: Pentagon halts Biden transition briefing. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is getting serious now.
You got to take a little break. That is curious. Yeah. You know, it has a sort of, obviously, China is a big concern right now, no matter how much they want us to think it's all about Russia. But what a time for the Biden transition team to be left out of, national defense briefings when we have probably the biggest hack, certainly in American history.
World history for sure.
Yeah,
in terms of how big this hack probably is in terms, with all the 18,000, less than 18,000 companies.
I was going to say that, but also I'm not very familiar with major hacks that go on in China or something. Who knows? But yes, you're right. Certainly one of the most notable hack to ever be released publicly. And of course, there's a lot of national security concerns, of which we will talk about quite a bit later on in the show. But it does kind of make you wonder what's going on that they don't want the Biden transition team to be aware of.
Yeah, so the Axios article, briefly, it says Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller ordered a Pentagon-wide halt to cooperation with the transition of President-elect Biden, shocking officials across the Defense Department. And then Biden Transition Director Johannes Abraham contradicted the Pentagon's official response to the story on Friday afternoon, telling reporters, "Let me be clear, there was no mutually agreed upon holiday break." I like how he thinks it's a holiday break.
It's a break. Don't worry, it's just a break.
Just a holiday break, but we didn't agree to it, even though...
You don't have to show up. Don't worry.
We just had a digital Pearl Harbor, but just pretend like that didn't happen. And it just kind of goes on here with the story. What I thought was interesting at the very end of this Axios report, it says these same senior leaders needed to do their day jobs and were being consumed by transition activities. With the holidays, we are taking a knee for 2 weeks. We are still committed to the productive transition. And that was a quote by the senior Defense Department official there. So playing some politics there, maybe. He talks about taking a knee, talks about it's like a light shade on one side of the political aisle there. But trying to downplay it, like, oh, there's so much going on. We just we wanted to take a knee real quick and get some things done, like maybe protect the country.
Before.
Yeah,
I've pulled that move before. Oh, don't worry, we don't need you to come in today. Just take a break.
Yeah, it's break time. So, what if they played that over the loudspeaker there at the Department of Defense?
Pentagon.
Yeah. So that's all we'll mention here. It'll come up again, obviously, in the story about the nuclear arsenal hack. But before we get there, we're going to do our usual things here. We have a very interesting Flippy update. You ready for that, Basil?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Flippy update. Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. It's the Flippy update. If you're new to the show, let me just learn you something. Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as sort of a proxy conversation about robotics and AI and how they will inevitably take over the world. So be nice to Siri. Watch out. But today, this is a very interesting article coming from taskandpurpose.com. And the headline is "The Army is working on super nimble swole bots." Ooh, swole bots. It's been a theme recently on this show, but the article reads like this: despite American pop culture's dire warnings about the future of robot warfare. Did they just call us pop culture, Guns?
We are pop culture.
Oh, no. Where's my Illuminati check?
Oh, no, I'm not going to get that.
Army researchers simply can't help themselves when it comes to developing new and freakish machines to accompany soldiers onto future battlefields. According to the Army Research Laboratory, the service is currently researching what it describes as, quote, robotic systems packed with muscle tissue that can produce, quote, never seen before agility and versatility in a ground-based system. The field of research known as biohybrid robotics, quote, integrates living organisms to mechanical systems to improve performance, according to the ARL. Quote, muscle tissue is outstanding at producing a specific amount of mechanical power at a given moment, and its versatility is unrivaled in robotic actuation today, said Dr. Dean Culver, an ARL research scientist, in a statement. Now, don't expect the Army to roll out a fleet of muscle-bound walking butt kickers to bust down doors alongside soldiers anytime soon. Instead, the service is focused on applying the logic and elegance of biological systems to clunky and clumsy ground-based systems. Indeed, the ARL says that the first applications for biohybrid robotics will focus on legged platforms like the Army's Legged Locomotion and Movement Adaptation, the LLAMA, research platforms in the U.S. Marine Corps Legged Squad Support System, the LS-3, although Culver and his collaborators, quote, are also considering flapping wing drones. That's the spookiest thing I've ever heard. Quote, one obstacle that faces ground-based robots today is an inability to instantly adjust or adapt to unstable terrain, Culver said in a statement. Quote, muscle actuation, though certainly not solely responsible for it, is a big contributor to animals' ability to navigate uneven and unreliable terrain. Similarly, flapping wings and flying organisms' ability to reconfigure their envelope gives them the ability to dart here and there, even among branches. Quote, in multi-domain operations, this kind of agility and versatility means otherwise inaccessible areas are now viable, and those options can be critical to the U.S. military's success, he added. If this sounds decidedly creepy, you're not alone. The prospect of robotic sidekicks that move eerily essentially like flesh and blood creatures because of their artificially manufactured muscle tissue is absolutely the stuff of our science fiction nightmares. Quote, organisms outperform engineered robots in so many ways, Culver said in the ARL statement. Quote continues, why not use biological components to achieve those remarkable capabilities? I'll tell you why. I've seen this movie before, and it tends to suck total butt for the human organisms involved. Some live censoring there. Then they give a little clip of the Terminator. But there you go. This is interesting. We've been following the biomechanical field for a while, and this isn't the first time that they've mentioned this as an idea, but this really is an interesting take on the biblical passage referring to iron and clay, Gons, at this point. It's putting human flesh muscle on robotic skeletons, of course, is not a brand new concept. That's pretty much the entire concept of the Terminator, but they seem to be pretty excited about making it a reality sometime soon.
What's creepy is that they're going to have like the LS3 or whatever, just legs. That's going to be the weird thing.
Yeah.
Llama legs walking around carrying
just
stuff.
Some big beefy legs. Big beefy swole legs.
Swole legs carrying stuff around. I mean, that's what's going to be uncomfortable for me.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but you're right. The whole iron mixed with Myra Clay in Daniel 2, mentioning that is as part of this. And, usually we think about, we've talked about that topic or that passage in context to machines entering our bodies. But this is kind of the other way. It's like adding.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually taken in the context of cybernetics and cyborgs and implantable chips, et cetera, transhumanism. This is like opposite transhumanism. This is human trans robotism. Trans robotism, I guess.
Yeah, trans robot.
That's just what it is.
Trans robot might not convey the correct.
No, that sounds like something that would show up in the new video game Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk. Apparently it is Cyberpunk. A little shout out to my gamer boys and girls out there. Yes, they did pull Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store because it just does not work on the PS4. So I'm glad I didn't get involved. That game looks scary anyways. But it's got what's his name? Keanu Reeves is like a main character in the game.
Whoa. Yeah. I know Kung Fu. Sweet.
Did I mention it recently in the past? I think it was last month. I actually watched, what's the surfing movie called?
Point Break.
Point Break. I watched Point Break for the first time.
For the first time, really?
For the first time. I'd never seen it before. And it is really the pinnacle of human achievement.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty awesome.
It is the best. I can't tell if it's the best worst movie or the worst best movie. It's one of those.
One of those, yeah. Keanu Reeves is always involved in those types of movies. It's really hard to tell.
So back to the story, one thing that takes me by surprise, Gons, I take a lot of time looking at robots, just looking at them, researching robots. And it seems a little early to be getting into the mixing, into the biological mechanics thing. We don't even have readily available good regular robots, and they're already working on turning them half biological.
We don't, but they do.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, they've already had it. They got the spot robots. They got all kinds of stuff going on. And
did I see that the Boston Dynamics sale went through?
Yes, I tried to use that as a Flippy update a couple days or a couple episodes ago, but you said boring, and you swiped left.
I had something else I wanted to talk about. Yeah. But so there we go. Well, hopefully Flippy survives. It was to Hyundai, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, and Flippy will have maybe Flippy will grow flesh.
Cars.
We're just talking over each other.
Oh, please, no. No flesh near the deep fryer, please.
Oh, yeah. That could go wrong, huh? That's it's just not going to work out when you put the fleshy robot on the deep fryer.
You're right. It takes away a lot of the durability that you're looking for in a robot if you start putting human flesh on it.
Well, it'll be like the Terminator. He'll just keep going. You know how he fell into the lava, but then he still put his thumbs up.
Spooky metal skull underneath.
Yeah. All right, so we have a couple updates here. I don't think I want to do a normal brief update because we're just we're trying something a little different, not too different, but just a little different. Got a couple 33 updates.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War. 33
being the Illuminati dog whistle, and there was a bunch of 33 mentions last couple days, but I chose these two here. The first one, bizjournals.com, all 33 New Mexico counties now in red tier, latest data shows. And that's talking about the threshold, the red tier in New Mexico. And yeah, I guess they have 33
it's an
counties.
Amount of infections, I guess.
Yeah. So there you go. All 33. Yeah. They did it. All 33. Yay.
We got them all.
Congratulations, New Mexico.
That's interesting. New Mexico has 33 counties.
Yeah.
Wake up, New Mexican sheeple.
Yeah. The other one here that I wanted to mention is from WashingtonPost.com. Brain-controlled gaming exists, though ethical questions loom over the tech. And you're wondering, where's the 33? It's in the first paragraph here. As the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center shuts its laboratories following the COVID-19 outbreak, Nathan Copeland, a 33-year-old volunteer, collected the equipment that would grant him transformative abilities during lockdown. And he's another, he's paralyzed from the chest down. But he took home the advanced brain-computer interface, and I guess he started playing games with it. So
make sure. That's probably what I'd do.
Make sure you know what you're doing. 33 years old, you're allowed to do it, I guess. They're like, oh, well, just turn blind eye because you're 33, and that's the age Jesus rose from the dead. So we're going to let you rise from your slumber into virtual reality.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's one of those things about virtual reality. It's giving sort of an expanded life experience to those who can't do the normal things. Yeah. So, I hope he has fun.
Yep. Okay, here's another numerical update.
666.
Oh, that was a little loud, huh? Guess I should turn that one down a little bit.
Sound good to me.
Yeah. I skipped it. Here it is. BaltimoreSun.com. Maryland's coronavirus death toll adds 49 as officials report 2,217 more cases. This is published on December 17th. After Maryland reported fewer than 200 deaths in October, 1,152 people have died in November, and just over half of December. Maryland has reported 666 deaths so far this month.
They love reporting at that number.
About 13% of the state's overall death toll. That's, 13, the whole Osiris number there.
Yeah, they're all plugged into the occult numerology.
It all comes together in Maryland. So
well, what a coincidence. Yeah. 666 is 13% of their death toll.
They love it. They're like, oh, we must publish a story now that we have the numbers aligned. So there you go. That's our quick 666 update there. And then I have this one.
Speaking of the beast system. Beast system.
Now, you always tell me or talk to me about the statistics of Canary Cry News Talk, which countries we rank highest in, and South Africa pops up quite a bit.
Yeah, South Africa, they love us down there.
So this jives with that thinking. News24.com. Opinion. Vaccines of the devil. Mogoins. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Mogoing is contestable statements threaten vaccine confidence. And let me just read the first paragraph here. As the UK took its first step last week in what stands to be the biggest mass rollout of vaccination in its history, South Africa's Chief Justice Mogoeng caused a stir following his controversial stance on vaccines, wherein he publicly prayed that people be spared the, quote, satanic agenda of the mark of the beast.
Yeah. There's that vaccine being the mark of the beast thing again.
Sure. I mean,
this guy needs to check his scriptures.
Yeah. At the same time, I'm not gonna really condemn him too much.
I mean, certainly a good number of people think that's the case. I won't be too concerned until I have to sign a little paper or take an oath to deny Jesus Christ to get my vaccine. But I will say, let's see here. I'm looking at the charts now. So producers, listen up. I'm just going to give you the charts now. Let's see. South Africa, we actually took a little bit of a tumble. We're 103 right now in South Africa.
Weren't we in the top 40 the last time you told me, like 2 days ago?
It goes up and down. It's all based on who puts out episodes when.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we fell a little bit. I forget what number I gave last time, but yeah. But I will say, New Zealand, we're sitting at number 54 in news commentary. So there we go. New Zealanders are catching on.
Very good.
And close behind, we have Canada. We're sitting at number 57.
Do we have any Canadian? I don't think we have any Canadian stories. Sometimes Canada's in there a lot, more than you think.
They make it on the show pretty often.
Yes. So anyway, there you go. I just thought I'd mention that the South African Chief Justice just publicly prayed that people are spared the satanic agenda of the mark of the beast. And I know he means this in the vaccine situation here. But in principle, in general, we can agree that people are spared. People wake up and are spared of the satanic agenda of the mark of the beast.
Yes, that's a thing I can agree with. I also hope that.
Yeah. So, again, not going to be too harsh on the guy, but it's interesting to see from the Chief Justice. You don't usually see that kind of thing from.
They're pretty woke over there.
Yeah. So there you go.
Shout out to South Africa. And we wanted to do this quickly to get into the main story here today.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
Which is this ginormous story.
Yes, it's big, and we got a couple angles to take from it. I'll start out here on time.com. And as we reported on the past couple episodes, I believe, was the Solar Winds hack. Yes, that was the other big news, the biggest hack possibly in the history of our Earth
world,
or pancake or globe, wherever you land on that spectrum, that affected 18,000 organizations in the United States, including, I believe it was all branches of the military and most of the government were all included in this hack. And now this headline, U.S. Nuclear Weapons Agency hacked as part of massive cyber attack. So the news just keeps on rolling. The article reads like this. The U.S. Nuclear Weapons Agency and at least 3 states were hacked as part of a suspected Russian cyber attack that struck a number of federal government agencies, according to people with knowledge of the matter, indicating widening reach of one of the biggest cybersecurity breaches in recent memory. Interesting. They changed. I don't know if this means anything, but when it comes to mainstream media, you really got to pay attention to the language. In previous articles that we've written, they've called it alleged Russian cyber attack, and now it's suspected Russian cyber attack.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference between those two words to you?
Maybe a little bit, but not so much. I feel like
alleged has more of an accusatory tone, and suspected is just kind of like, I don't know.
Suspicious.
Yeah, I don't know, kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
But when you allege something, it has a much more sort of official accusatory tone. But anyways, Microsoft said that its systems were also exposed as part of the attack. Hackers with ties to the Russian government are suspected to be behind a well-coordinated attack that took advantage of weaknesses in the U.S. supply chain to penetrate several federal agencies, including departments of Homeland Security, Treasury, Commerce, and State. While many details are still unclear, the hackers are believed to have gained access to networks by installing malicious code in a widely used software program from SolarWinds Corp, whose customers include government agencies and Fortune 500 companies, according to the company and cybersecurity experts. Quote, "This is a patient, well-resourced, and focused adversary that has sustained long-duration activity on victim networks," the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency said in a bulletin that signaled widening alarm over the breach. The hackers posed a grave risk to federal, state, and local governments, as well as critical infrastructure and the private sector, the bulletin said. The agency said the attackers demonstrated, quote, "sophistication and complex tradecraft." The Energy Department and its National Nuclear Security Administration, which maintains America's nuclear stockpile, were targeted as part of the larger attack, according to a person familiar with the matter. Oh, for once, I just want somebody to name a source. I don't think anybody's named a source in all of 2020. An ongoing investigation has found the hack didn't affect, quote, mission essential national security functions. Yes. Shaylin Hines, a Department of Energy spokeswoman, said in a statement. Quote, "At this point, the investigation has found that the malware has been isolated to business networks only," Hines said. The hack of the nuclear agency was reported earlier by Politico. Microsoft spokesman Frank Shaw said the company had found malicious code in our environment, which he isolated and removed. Quote, "We have not found evidence of access to production services or customer data," he said in a tweet. Quote, "Our investigations, which are ongoing, have found absolutely no indication that our systems were used to attack others." Reuters had earlier reported that Microsoft was hacked and that its products were used to further the attacks. In addition, two people familiar with the broader government investigation into the attack said 3 state governments were breached, though they wouldn't identify the states. A third person familiar with the probe confirmed that state governments were hacked, but didn't provide a number. Oh, and this, you gotta love this. Biden's pledge. While President Donald Trump has yet to publicly address the hack, President-elect Joe Biden issued a statement on Thursday on, quote, "what appears to be a massive cybersecurity breach affecting potentially thousands of victims, including U.S. companies and federal government entities. Quote, I want to be clear. My administration will make cybersecurity a top priority at every level of government, and we'll make dealing with this breach a top priority from the moment we take office," Biden said, pledging to impose, quote, "substantial costs on those responsible for such malicious attacks." Russia has denied any involvement in the attack. Hines, the Department of Energy spokeswoman, said that efforts were immediately taken to mitigate the risk from the hack, including disconnecting software, quote, "identified as being vulnerable to this attack." With this, and there you go. That's the end of the article. Interesting how they had to, of course, put in an advertisement for Biden. Interesting, though, that he's suddenly not allowed in the national security Pentagon meetings.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
There you go. He's pledging to make this his top priority. Well, that's going to be difficult now that he's not allowed in the meetings.
Maybe they told him he needs to shave his legs and stop smelling women and kids. And anyway,
that could possibly be it. But I don't know. I mean, there is a possibility, and this is just conjecture. His connections and his son's connections with China, which are now officially, part of a larger investigation, could have compromised his standing with the Pentagon on these matters.
Yeah, definitely. I did get a note from somebody who received an alert from the United States Computer Emergency Readiness Team. It's called the U.S. CERT. And they sent this PDF, which is public, so it's not something top secret or anything like that. But the activity alert states advanced persistent threat compromise of government agencies, critical infrastructure, and private sector organizations. And it's a little more of a technical document outlining what's going on here. And yeah, some of the quotes from the Times were directly lifted from this document, I think, or parts of it. What does it say here? Organizations with suspected compromises need to be highly conscious of operational security, including when engaging in incident response activities and planning and implementing remediation plans. And part of it too, it's not so much that you just need to, turn off the software. The compromise is somewhat so severe that, you're going to have to basically do Hillary Clinton style break some of the hardware or
smash your hard drives with hammers and
or
wipe some servers
or do what's his name, Elliot from that show, I can't remember the name of the show right now, Mr. Robot, where he puts it in the microwave,
of course,
to get rid of the evidence.
It's interesting, specifically just to break down this article a little bit. This is obviously a damage control PR piece from SolarWinds and affected agencies or organizations. The way that they kind of describe what they do to the steps they took as precautions is such non-technical jibber jabber, like, oh, we just disconnected it.
Yeah, disconnected
the software. We saw it and we disconnected it. So don't worry, everybody's
software.
Safe. Yeah, right.
How do you disconnect software? You can disconnect hardware.
You can but
turn off
the problem is that the hack, has been going on for months. So. Yeah. Disconnecting anything at this point is not going to have any sort of effect.
This was kind of leading up because remember like a week or two ago we had the story about Fire Eye with the logo with like the single eye on fire, and they mentioned like, the protection thing that we have for all of our customers, it was stolen. Remember that story where they're like, all the stuff was stolen. So it seems like they've been slowly rolling this out, but I do have an angle here that it may not be correct. I will admit. Before I even mention that, there is if you go to energy.gov, they do have a Secretary of Energy signs order to mitigate security risks to the nation's electric grid, and this is really interesting. Think about the timing of the election and the transition of power and everything. Okay. Keep that in mind when I read this section here. Washington, D.C. This is on December 17th. Today, the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Dan Brouillette, issued a prohibition order designed to reduce the risk that entities associated with the People's Republic of China pose to the nation's bulk power system, BPS. The order invokes the authority delegated to the Secretary of Executive Order 13920, securing the United States bulk power system, and takes effect January 16th, 2021. That's 4 days before the official inauguration of Biden. Interesting timing, right?
Yeah.
The order prohibits utilities that supply critical defense facilities, CDF, from procuring from the People's Republic of China specific BPS electric equipment that poses an undue risk to the BPS, the security or resilience of critical infrastructure, the economy, national security, or safety and security of Americans. So, here's a quote here. The bulk power system is the backbone of our nation's energy infrastructure and is fundamental to our national security, the American economy, and our way of life, said Secretary Brouillette. Quote, it is imperative we secure the BPS against attacks and exploitation by foreign adversaries. This order is one of several steps this administration is taking to greatly diminish the ability of our foreign adversaries to target our critical electric infrastructure. So, again, very interesting. And Trump issued EO 13920 on May 1st, 2020, Illuminati Day.
Oh,
That's when he issued the executive order and granted implementation authority to the Secretary of Energy. I know people have talked about this a little bit, but this is very fascinating in terms of the implementation or just the call to invoke Executive Order 13920. So yeah, and this document mentions specifically the People's Republic of China, and a lot of people suspect that this hack was actually, had to do with China, not so much Russia. Russia seems to be the the scapegoat in the whole thing.
It's just the fun. I don't know, man. After the whole Russiagate thing, you can't. It's just.
I know it
will
be
so silly for people to get so worked up about Russia at the first drop of a hat.
True, but also great time for Russia to actually hack people.
To actually do something.
Because confidence in Russia is, at least for half the population, is very low. The other half, it's like everything's Russia.
Yeah. The problem is, and I was talking to one of my IT buddies, very talented type of guy. And, the fun joke was, oh, so was the SolarWinds thing you? And he laughed and he said, oh, I wish. I was like, so what do you think? Was it the Russians or what? He's like, dude, there's no way to know. I mean, you can route any hack through Russian servers. Yeah. And a lot of hackers do route all their hacks through Russian servers because the way it's set up over there, you can stay anonymous and just route everything through Russian servers. So, yeah, Russia always gets blamed for hacks because, you can be in anywhere in the world and route your hack through a Russian server. And then, of course, the Russians get blamed and you get off scot-free.
Oh, you know what? Somebody mentioned the Russia jingle, and I do have that somewhere here. But anyway, so, I thought this was interesting. And then I'll give you my kind of angle on this whole thing. Okay. And again, this is just, let me be clear, this is speculation. This is not, any kind of... I don't do this on evidence per se, just my sort of speculation. Okay. I just want to put that out there because good. And I actually tweeted this out.
This is your theory, your conspiracy theory.
Yeah, just a theory. I said this is an exposure of the frailty of our current digital infrastructure. #false flag ? With blockchain and DLT, which is distributed ledger technology, replacements ready to go, it was time to destroy Web 2.0. Correlation is not causation, but Bitcoin price went crazy in tandem with the announcements of SolarWinds. And if you kind of think about it, the Bitcoin, just the market cap of Bitcoin and the all-time high and all that, same week as the greatest hack on our infrastructure, especially energy, because energy is a big one when it comes to Bitcoin mining, and this also speaks to the possibility of China being behind this. Or at least, the culprit in this, because China does own a lot of the mining farms out there. They don't have, full power. Obviously, it's a distributed system, but they do have a lot of the mining pools that operate in China. So, they use a lot of energy. They use a lot of cheap energy, and that's partly why they're able to have that many nodes out there.
Right.
But so it's just one of those things I'm thinking through, and I'm like, okay, if we're thinking about this in a critical way, somebody always benefits. These things don't tend to happen in a vacuum. You don't allow this sort of thing, or even if you're trying to prevent it, it just doesn't happen. And then let's just announce it. And, they got into our nuke stuff. And that to me is it's kind of ridiculous, because in my mind, it's like, okay, if they really have the nuke codes, wouldn't they have some kind of random generator?
Well, I don't think anybody says they have the nuke codes.
Yeah,
but it's just getting into the nuclear infrastructure.
The infrastructure, the
just
arsenal.
As a reminder to everybody listening, this isn't just nuclear weapons. This is also nuclear power.
Right.
So, it could have been anywhere within that infrastructure. But the Time article said that it's not mission critical, so everything's fine.
Of course they're going to say that.
Well, and as for more, just a little bit more context, Solar Winds is sort of a business infrastructure software company. So I would be pretty surprised if Solar Winds was being used in some, weaponized capacity for, nuclear missiles or something.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes around these government organizations, and probably wouldn't want Russia or China to be involved in any of it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is when you think about the greater people at the very top, they know that this kind of stuff was going to take place, and it just feels like, hey, all right, the transition is now. Let's start exposing some of the problems with the whole system.
Certainly on a psychological operations basis, increasing the animosity to Russia would take attention away from China, thus attention away from Biden's connections to China, and also decrease, what is the word I'm looking for? Confidence, decrease confidence in the fact that our entire world runs on the internet and is supposedly safe. So, it's another, I called it kind of a black swan event when this, hack happened at the beginning of the week. And I think more aptly, you could call it a potential black swan event or a black swan warning event. Because the real black swan event would have been, they do get into the power grid, shut something off. They disrupt the supply chains.
Here's the thing, though. They don't have to actually go through with any of it, because especially if they really pull, they shut off the grid, they do that kind of thing, then they sort of give away their positions too. Like once you act upon it, you can be in there and be invisible. But once you move, then it's like, oh, there you are. It's almost, it's what's the, it's like there's an analogy.
They could have been waiting for Biden's, inauguration day or something. But they didn't. We found them.
Yeah. But there's like an analogy, the dark forest analogy or something, where you can't see them until they move. I don't remember. Anyway, there's something along those lines where, but
like a T-Rex vision.
Sure.
It's T-Rex. Their vision is based on movement, guns.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Those little chickens running around. Good luck. But that's basically my takeaway here. And you mentioned how it's a black swan event. I think it can be.
I think it is kind of a psychological black swan event.
And even economic. You can make demands just anybody anonymously and say, hey, we're going to do this. You are compromised. We will expose this unless you give us this, that sort of thing.
Right. But that was a potential. The thing is, they didn't really do that stuff. So as far as its actual effect, I think it's more of a psychological black swan than anything else.
Right. And the fact that
for those who understand just how impactful that this hack actually was.
Yeah. Well, like I said, just for it to be public like this is very interesting to me, and the timing of it all. And the shutdown, and even if you break down this Time article, because we know Time is like the tip of the spear when it comes to PC, mainstream, button up, whatever. They blame Russia. It's very loose on the technical terminology. They talk about how it's not a threat.
No named sources, no named details,
nothing. And then a whole thing on Biden, how Biden's great. And so you clearly tell that it's
how Trump's not doing anything and Biden pledges to do it all.
Yeah. I'm sure he doesn't even really know what cyber means. But anyway, so this is a big story. We'll keep tabs on it. This could be part of the cyber pandemic or the cyberdemic, or what we call it, cyber demonic. And just that whole situation there. And yeah, we'll just keep track of it.
Yeah. And more things will be coming out for sure. They're in the midst of figuring it all out as we speak.
And this also ties into, a lot of the I mentioned this on Twitter as well, how the same people that were, and we've talked about this, the same people who were warning against martial law are now pushing for it.
Yeah.
It just seems like
crazy.
Again, it just seems like a good setup, like, hey, and then Lynn Wood tweeting about, oh, hey, get your food ready. Make sure you have your guns and a week's worth of food and the 10 days of darkness and all that stuff. It kind of plays into that setup,
Totally. Oh no, it's totally set up for some sort of thing. I will say on that point, I did go to my grocery store just to get some gallons of water, some supplemental water, just to have around. You should have that anyways, but I thought I'd pick up a few more. They had put a 2-item limit on bottles of water. And water. Man. 2-item limit. And so I go up there and, you can play the game. There's 30 different types of water you can buy. And so I got 2 of each one. And went up to the cashier. She's like, you can only have 2 of those. There's a 2-item limit on those products. I'm like, 2 per product, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I only have 2 of each of these 30 different kinds of water. Thank you very much. Bring me up. Let's go.
Did they do it?
She did not push back. I had bested her.
Ooh, yeah.
Touche, cashier lady.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you get around the system.
I know. Now I have way too much water.
It's okay. Okay, it's good to have too much. Better to have too much than not enough.
What was I going to mention? I was going to mention something. Oh, just real quick before we move on to the next stories, which we should do. I want to mention, if you're watching over on YouTube, please take a second and like the video. Very important that we get likes early on in the video. Tells the algorithms to let other people share the show. And we made a mistake. We did put the VAX word in the title of this live stream, which certainly has sabotaged our chances of this video getting shared very much. But your likes will help a lot. So thumbs up the video. Thank you very much.
I thought the algos would like the little play on the words, like, ooh, Dr. Seuss, the new Dr. Seuss.
We love Dr. Seuss
here. Nuke, hack, vax, flak. All right, anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
It's categorized under the children's section.
Yes, listen up, children. Let's give you some truth. Yeah, because, those algos.
You can't handle the truth.
You got a whole bunch of vaccine updates here. Yep. And for those of you who are new to the show, we call them wakchin because that's what the Japanese call it. And we were trying to get around the algos in America, and but I don't know if it's working. It hasn't caught on really with the public yet.
It's caught on to some people. I've seen some other outlets start calling it wakchin.
Really?
So yeah, and I have no idea who else would have, like who would have even tried to make that crazy word be the thing. So I've seen a couple. It's certainly not made it into the mainstream yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off with this tweet from our current president.
We will launch a new age.
Can I real quick? I know I hate doing this, but I want to give a shout out to DJ Peace in the Twitch chat. Says, thanks, Basil and Gonz. You guys have no idea how bearable you make work sometimes. We've got a large contingent of people who listen live while they're working. And good job, folks. Keeping the economy going. Feeding your families.
Yeah.
Where it makes me feel good to know that I can make a work day a little bit more bearable.
Which, by the way, we're on like crazy lockdown, 0% ICU beds in my neck of the woods here. And I go out and nobody's listening. No, like all the businesses, restaurants are open. Nobody's. I think Newsom messed up big time.
Over there in Southern California, nobody's following the orders.
No. I think Gavin Newsom really messed up, and even the liberal Democrats out there are like, yeah, if Newsom's gonna keep his winery open, it's pretty
social revolution against Newsom.
Yeah, we'll see. Because there was a call to or recall Newsom.
Yeah, well, yes. As a little update, I mean, last I checked, they were almost halfway.
The signatures.
The signatures that they need to activate an actual recall of the governor.
This is awesome. The last time we did that, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's what I was going to bring up. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen this next time?
Oh, great.
Maybe you'll get like Chris Pratt.
Yeah. All right. Not bad. Star-Lord. Okay.
Yeah. Chris Pratt. At least as far as his PR is concerned, is a Christian guy.
Yeah. Tim Dillon, I don't think he's a Christian guy, but he said he would do it. Like he was serious about it too. That he was going to run. Comedian guy. Okay. Anyway, so Trump tweeted this out yesterday on December 17th. He said, all-time stock market high. The vaccine and the vaccine rollout are getting the best of reviews, which will challenge that idea in a moment here. Moving along really well. Get those shots, everyone, in quotation marks. Stimulus talks.
Quotes around shots.
Also, stimulus talks looking very good. That's very strange. Why did he put the quotations around shots?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Get those shots, everybody. Like, what is the deal with that?
Get those shots. Yeah, Numati2 in the Twitch chat does point it out. What I pointed out to you is he's supposed to say jabs.
He's supposed to say jabs. Is that why we just universally adopted jabs?
Idea.
And he's like,
so weird.
He's like, I like the old way. I like the shots.
Maybe this is another dog whistle. Is this a stand down and stand by moment?
What are the Q bots saying?
That's a good question. I have not heard a lot from the Q-bots because they have been banned from the internet.
That's true. But I'd be curious what their breakdown is of the quotation shots. I was like, they're not shots? What are they?
Yeah, I don't know. That is so weird. Yeah, I mean, are there fake shots that we can get? Is he like, wink, get the shots?
Well, maybe, see, that's the thing. That's the other, if you're like super pro Trump, maybe this is his way of like, oh yeah, we're rolling out the vaccine. We're just doing it kind of to keep the crazy people at bay. And this is our way. This is my way of saying, oh yeah, the shots. Yeah, get the shots, everybody.
Pence allegedly got his shot
this morning, right?
Yeah.
I was looking for the video. Is there actual video of him getting it?
I did see it. I did not grab it for you, though.
Okay.
There was video. I was hoping that it would be another one of these, like they lift the cap on or retractable needle or something. But I had yet to see any breakdowns of that.
Yeah, in every single one of these instances, they're jabbing it into the left shoulder. I mean, look at me, I'm saying jab now. They're using the left shoulder. Is that just to try to make it so people don't talk about it as the mark of the beast, because they know that if they put it in the right arm, people are just automatically going to start talking about the mark of the beast in the right hand and the forehead.
I have no idea, but I don't think they need that to have people call it the mark of the beast.
They don't, but I'm saying... But maybe that's just a PR thing. Just make sure you get it in the left shoulder.
Well, the funny thing is, remember when they were talking about Obama and Bush and Clinton all getting their shots?
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
And of course, everybody turns around and said, oh, they're not going to get the real vaccine. They're going to get saline. They have not even put that much work into a lot of these videos of people getting the vaccine.
Oh, I know.
I mean, they're pretending they're leaving the cap on the syringe.
Yeah,
one of them didn't even have the syringe plug wasn't even pulled out. There's nothing in it.
Yeah.
He just kind of pretends to push it.
Yeah.
Man, they're not even going so far as to try to pretend that there's anything in these vaccines in these public displays of virtue.
Well, that's the thing. It's become a virtue signaling thing here by sitting there and getting the vax on air, on video to instill confidence and whatever. But it didn't go so well for this nurse here. This is on ABC Channel 9. And we'll watch the footage here. This is 30 seconds.
CHI Memorial called reporters to their hospital as they vaccinated.
Can you turn it up a little bit?
I can't. That's as loud as it goes. Here, let me do some. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm scared. I got to remember to turn it back down because all the other jingles will be really loud. So let's try this one again.
CHI Memorial called reporters to their hospital as they vaccinated their first group of frontline workers. This nurse was in that group.
About 17 minutes after receiving the shot, she took questions from reporters, and then this happened.
I'm feeling really dizzy.
Whoopsies.
I'm sorry.
And for those who are not watching live and you are just listening, she takes her little shot. She's very happy about it. She stands up and is speaking at a microphone and then apologizes for a second and says she's feeling very dizzy and then has a public display of dizziness by fainting and falling onto the ground.
Yeah. The little clap is the funniest part beforehand where she's like, yay. She does a little like happy clap. She's getting the jab, like, yay, happy clap, I got the vaccine. And then it falls over. What is the messaging going? Do you think this is real? Do you think this lady actually fainted?
That occurred to me too. And that's the problem with us, Gons, is we question every single thing we see.
Wow, why do we question so much?
I know. It would be so convenient if this was just so real.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it was just so convenient. How she is so excited. She's so perky, so happy, and then gets up to speak and then doesn't.
Right.
And falls back down. But I can't really think of like a comprehensive reason.
Here's one.
Why they would.
Here's one. I have one. I have a theory.
Okay, you've got
a theory. My theory is that, and this is, again, off the cuff. I don't have any hard, tangible evidence to support the thesis, but here it is. This is the Pfizer vaccine. Moderna is the other one that's ramping up to be shipped out there. This could be a sabotage play,
Ooh,
like, the Pfizer vaccines don't work. Look, the woman fainted on air.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. That is a pretty crazy situation we've been put in where there's two separate companies trying to save the world and have everything to gain and nothing to lose.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe somebody didn't pay their advertising bill on what is the channel that this played
ABC.
on,
ABC. Yeah. So
they're
definitely
Pfizer's
sponsored.
behind on their advertising invoices. So they're like, you're not going to pay your bill? We'll have some lady faint after taking your thing. There's also another side of it, which would be a predictive programming angle, which is, like, oh my gosh, she fainted. Oh, but she's okay. Don't worry. Fainting is normal. Yeah. So when you faint, don't worry. You're already expecting it. Because that's been my biggest frustration is they keep saying nothing's wrong, no bad effects, no nothing. And then everybody's caught by surprise when, lo and behold, something bad happens.
Right.
So it might be a little bit of predictive programming going on there.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if these things aren't easy to sniff out. But obviously, a lot of these major outlets, ABC, NBC, the major money comes from pharmaceutical companies, and so most of their advertising that's where they get their money. So you got to kind of look at. And I'm looking at this article from ABC News, and they do a side by side comparison of Pfizer and Moderna. It's almost like because of the fact that the media holds so much influence, that these companies are almost battling it out through media And so maybe it was a sabotage move by Moderna too.
Well,
this lady's like works for Moderna, and she's
or even just Fauci, because Fauci is a stakeholder in Moderna.
That's right.
He is not a stakeholder in Pfizer. As far as I know.
Right. So there you go. I mean, that's just very interesting. But
and the fact that they let it play on.
Yes. Yes. That was what I was going to say.
If this was the real deal, and they really were afraid of, giving some sort of bad impression. If they did not want to give a bad impression, they would have just cut away. They wouldn't have shown it.
That's right. And they have to know that a woman fainting on air on mainstream live TV.
What a great point. Thank you for pointing that out.
They have to know that the anti-vax people are going to be jumping all over this thing. That's a ratings.
Yeah. A young
champion,
vibrant, medical workers and she puts her hand up to her head and she's got her wedding ring on and then she faints. It's a classic image. Yeah. And, it's a classic image.
Yeah. I'm fainting. I hope she's okay.
And then the doctors in their lab coats rush up to her,
wearing their masks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. So anyway, I wanted to touch on that and deconstruct a little bit of that, because I know people are just running with it as, see, the vaccine, is bad. And yes, we agree that it should not be just willy-nilly being thrown out there like it is now, but how this type of footage is used on either side of the conversation.
It's all about, we all are aware of what's going on. Now it's a matter of being able to point it out in the media and also accurately communicate it with those we want to communicate it to.
Right.
Well, speaking of which, I got a little thing here for you about the Alaskans. The Alaskans. Did I? Oh, no.
Did you get a
New York Times. Okay. Well, I got this other one here. Shoot. I got paywalled.
Oh, you did?
Are you paywalled on this?
I'm not. I can run it real quick. If you want
Hold on. Let me try one thing, and then yes, I might have you take it. Oh gosh. Hold tight, folks. Okay, here we go. Nope, I'm getting paywalled. Your turn.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna actually pop this into a different browser.
Yeah, but it's all IP, man. They got your IP. They know.
Oh, but if you're fancy like me,
you got the VPN.
If you're fancy like me and you can't, nobody knows anything.
Oh, that's
okay,
right.
Hold on. Give me 3 seconds. I'll see if I can get it up.
1, 2, 3.
Do they have me? I think I'm good. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. This is from the New York Times. So it's legit. The headline is 2 Alaska healthcare workers. Oh my gosh.
Did you get?
Oh my gosh.
Did you get?
I just lost. And this is not a paywall.
Okay.
This is a VR issue. Okay, here we go. 2 Alaska health workers got emergency treatment after receiving Pfizer's vaccine. Mm-hmm. And this goes along with what you were saying. Why not just say COVID vaccine? Why not call it COVID-19 vaccine? Why specifically in the headline say Pfizer's vaccine? When currently there are no other vaccines available. Like, it doesn't even matter whose vaccine. There's only one.
Yep.
But okay, let's keep going. 2 healthcare workers at the same hospital in Alaska developed concerning reactions just minutes after receiving Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine this week, including one staff member who was to remain hospitalized until Thursday. Wow, this is not just fainting. This is hospitalized for many days.
Yeah.
Health officials said that the cases would not disrupt their vaccine rollout plans, and they were sharing the information for the sake of transparency. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. The first...
I love how they did it for transparency now, but what about transparency leading up to the entire pandemic, quote unquote?
The first worker, a middle-aged woman who had no history of allergies, had an anaphylactic reaction. This is interesting because, of course, we heard about, Fauci and others coming out and saying, if you have a history of allergies, be very careful. Only take this in a place where they can zap you and bring you back to life. But this no history of allergies had an anaphylactic reaction that began 10 minutes after receiving the vaccine at Bartlett Regional Hospital in Juneau on Tuesday. A hospital official said she experienced a rash over her face and torso, shortness of breath, and elevated heart rate. Dr. Lindy Jones, the hospital's emergency department medical director, said the worker was first given a shot of epinephrine, a standard treatment for severe allergic reactions. Her symptoms subsided, but then re-emerged as she was treated with steroids and an epinephrine drip. Wow. So she recovered with the first EpiPen and then, epinephrine shot. I don't know if it was an EpiPen. And then it came back later. It's
like a candle that you try to blow out and it just catches right back on fire.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe they're just playing a funny joke on her. When doctors tried to stop the drip, her symptoms reemerged yet again. Oh my gosh. So the woman was moved. Sorry, I just keep trying to make comments, but we got to read on. When the doctor tried to stop the drip, her symptoms reemerged yet again. So the woman was moved to the intensive care unit, observed throughout the night, then weaned off the drip early Wednesday morning, Dr. Jones said. Dr. Jones had said earlier Wednesday that the woman was set to be discharged in the evening, but the hospital said late Wednesday that she was remaining another night. The second worker received his shot on Wednesday and developed eye puffiness, lightheadedness, and a scratchy throat in 10 minutes after the injection. The hospital said in a statement. He was taken to the emergency room and treated with epinephrine, Pepcid, and Benadryl. Ooh, and a lot of things. Also, the hospital said the reaction was not considered anaphylaxis. The worker, interesting, has not considered anaphylaxis. Will you look up the definition of anaphylaxis just so we can get the right idea? The worker was back to normal within an hour and released. The hospital, which had administered 144 total doses as of Wednesday night, said both workers did not want their experiences to have a negative impact on others lining up for the vaccine. Well, they didn't want it to have a negative impact, so keep going, folks.
144?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Like 144,000.
Two severe reactions in 144 doses is a pretty high rate.
Yeah, it's still under one, I think, right? But, well, no.
Is still under one?
Percentage. Hold on. Let me do some.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever. It's close to under one, but still 1% of 300 million people. I think that's 30,000 people having severe reactions.
1.3%. Real quick, anaphylaxis is a severe, potentially life-threatening allergic reaction that can occur within seconds or minutes of exposure to something you're allergic to, such as peanuts or bee stings or mRNA vaccines. Actually, I had that last part, but
yeah, I guess I was trying to figure out if there's a scale of allergic reactions and anaphylaxis is just sort of like one of the more severe ones, or is anaphylaxis just allergies in general?
Yeah, I think, and correct us if we're wrong here, but yeah, I think it's just sort of the official terminology used for an strong allergic reaction. Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue. Quote, "We have no plans to change our vaccine schedule, dosing, or regimen," Dr. Ann Zink, Alaska's chief medical officer, said in a statement. Although the Pfizer vaccine was shown to be safe and about 95% effective in a clinical trial involving 44,000 participants, the Alaska cases will likely intensify concerns about possible side effects. No kidding. Experts said the developments may prompt calls for tighter guidelines to ensure that recipients were carefully monitored for adverse reactions. Dr. Paul A. Offit, a vaccine expert and member of an outside advisory panel that recommended the Food and Drug Administration authorize the Pfizer vaccine for emergency use, said the appropriate precautions were already in place. For instance, he said the requirement that recipients remain in place for 15 minutes after getting the vaccine helped ensure the woman was quickly treated. Quote, "I don't think this means we should pause vaccine distribution," he said. Not at all, but he said researchers need to figure out what component of the vaccine is causing this reaction. Dr. Jay Butler, a top infectious disease expert with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said the Alaska situation showed that the monitoring system worked. The agency has recommended that the vaccine be administered in settings that have supplies, including oxygen and epinephrine, to manage anaphylactic shock. Talk about a good spin.
Yeah.
Not
Silver
only do you
lining.
have some talented doctors up there, but you've got some great spin doctors.
Yeah.
Don't worry, this worked as planned.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Then it just kind of goes into some general vaccine info. The Alaska woman's reaction was believed to be similar to the anaphylactic reactions to health workers in Britain experienced after receiving the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine last week. Like her, both recovered. So don't worry, everybody's recovering. Those cases were expected to come up on Thursday when FDA scientists are scheduled to meet with the agency's outside panel of blah, 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 blah. So there you go. The article goes on for quite a while, but it's just more general information. So there you go. Nothing, but don't worry. No adverse effects.
Oh, it's funny. You're right about how they try to spin it positively, like putting a feather in their cap. Like, we told you it was a good idea to have all this extra, like an EpiPen next to you, just in case. I mean, if you have to have that, probably not, I guess precaution, but still, it's
I know, man.
Kind of wild,
it's
man.
just, I don't know. At this rate, the chances of having a potentially fatal allergic reaction are technically higher than the fatality rate of COVID-19, but that's none of my business. Just a quick little follow-up here. We've got a follow-up article from sunconews.com. Health worker admitted in ICU 10 minutes after using Pfizer COVID vaccine. So just another thing, a couple key points. A health worker with 0 records on allergies was put in ICU 10 minutes after using Pfizer COVID vaccine that left her with severe reaction. The woman was injected with the drug before developing an anaphylactic reaction. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the same story.
I was going to say, this is this is the same story.
Sorry. Yep, same story.
Just a different outlet there.
What if we've been doing the show the whole time and we didn't realize that multiple outlets could report on the same story?
Oh my gosh! Look how many times.
2 more people in Alaska? Oh my gosh! Alaska's having a hard time.
Yeah, that would be bad. So anything else to say on that? We can move on here for a couple more.
The rest speaks for itself. Let's keep moving.
Okay, so there's a few more here. Just we won't spend too much time on them. But this story was published on BeckersHospitalReview.com. And the headline here was Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine doses get too cold, must be returned in 2 states.
Oh no, how could it possibly get colder than negative 70 degrees Celsius?
Well, U.S. officials quarantined several thousand doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine on January 16th after an anomaly in the transportation process led to the vaccines getting too cold. Gustav Perna, who oversees logistics, I think it's General Gustav Perna, who oversees logistics for Operation Warp Speed, the White House's initiative to speed COVID-19 vaccine and drug development, told reporters that 2 trays of Pfizer vaccines that arrived at 2 locations in California had to be returned to the drug maker after the temperature somehow fell to minus 92 degrees Celsius.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Each tray of the vaccine carries 975 doses. They have to keep it at 70. And the other place where this occurred was in Alabama. So Alabama and California, the 2 places that they had to recall couple of the batches there because it got too cold. And that's
okay.
All right.
Too cold. Stop making them too cold.
Yeah. It's just funny how
what if you were the guy who is in charge of setting the temperature on the $1 million freezing machine that was responsible for keeping safe the life-saving vaccine that everybody had been waiting for. And because it's in Celsius, you just accidentally set it to the wrong temperature.
You know, that's very and also, what about because we're in America, right?
We are in America, right?
Yeah.
And nobody knows what Celsius means.
Yeah. So they're probably like, oops.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there? It's either a defective machine or somebody made a whoopsies.
Yeah, but if they made the whoopsies, I would think that maybe it wasn't as bad. I don't know.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. It's kind of like the biggest deal.
Well, if they did it
in the world of the entire year,
I know. But if they accidentally did it, if they did it in Fahrenheit, wouldn't it be not cold enough?
Oh, I think you're thinking way too deep about this.
All right, I'll stop thinking so deep about it.
Okay, next, this was an interesting one that popped up for me. This is over on Forbes.com, and the headline is titled, Report, Pfizer Vaccine Vials Hold Extra Doses, Increasing U.S. Supply by up to 40%.
Yay.
Okay. The U.S. supply of coronavirus vaccines appears to be much higher than previously believed after the FDA said Wednesday that vaccine vials contain more doses than expected, increasing the available vaccine supply in the U.S. by as much as 40%. That's a lot of percent.
That's almost half as much.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's not like a little difference. That's a humongous difference.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll just do the key facts here. Pfizer vials are designed to hold 5 doses, but some pharmacists found that vials actually appeared to hold enough for up to 7 doses, Politico reported. An FDA spokesman told the news outlet Wednesday that it was informing health providers that, quote, it is acceptable to use every full dose obtainable. The news comes after hundreds of extra doses of the vaccine, which was already in short supply, were apparently thrown away over the past few days, according to Politico. Though the FDA said all doses could be used, a Pfizer spokesman told Politico that the company could not yet provide a recommendation for the extra vaccine in the vials, which are typically overfilled by manufacturers to protect against spillage. Crucial quote, I think this is more clever pharmacist than something missed by Pfizer. Andy Slavitt, a former health administrator under President Barack Obama, told Politico. So it's just kind of like, why? Okay. So in the full article, it talks about like, yeah, they'll put in a little bit more to prevent spillage and to just, give you a little bit of breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it's less than 1 dose of breathing room. And they're saying they can get 2 extra doses out of each of these vials, which makes me kind of suspicious of, well, a lot of things. First of all, Pfizer, because they bill per vial. I'm assuming they bill per vial or maybe per dose. I have no idea. It's just kind of funky. Like, there's kind of a big oversight. It's like Pfizer vaccine vials hold extra doses, aka we don't know how to measure things. And
this is like
40% more vaccines than originally available. It's kind of like this manufactured
extra
deficit.
Supply.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
This is just Pfizer being really good drug dealers.
That's true.
It's like,
true. Hey, give you a couple extra doses for your first time, but we'll keep you coming back.
Yeah. Since it's your first time, here's a little extra.
Yeah, that's how they get you. That's how they get you, man.
I really think that's what it is. Otherwise, why else? They just produce a whole bunch of the stuff.
And what a weird, crucial quote. I think this is more clever pharmacists than what's clever.
I thought pharmacists
gave the doses and there was more doses. What's clever about that?
Yeah, well, Obama guy. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
The Vax wars, the big pharma wars continues here. Bloomberg.com. Moderna ditches 400,000 vaccine doses, but still set to meet goal.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Moderna Inc. had to discard 400,000 doses of its experimental COVID-19 shot after a filtration issue compromised the product during the final stages of manufacturing, a U.S. official said Thursday. Monsef Slaoui, Operation Warp Speed's chief scientific advisor, disclosed Moderna's manufacturing hiccup in an interview with Bloomberg News. The 400,000 doses, which weren't yet placed in vials, were part of a broader 1.4 million batch of its vaccine, Slaoui said. Moderna, however, remains on track to meet its production estimate of 20 million doses this month and 80 to 100 million doses for the U.S. in the first quarter of 2021, according to Ray Jordan, a spokesman for the Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company. This is interesting how in the first paragraph here it says doses of its experimental COVID-19 shot. Mm-hmm. It's experimental, but they're getting ready to ship it out to millions of Americans.
Yeah,
just think about that just logically, Okay.
They're all experimental.
Yeah. Pretty in your face right there. But
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Not much more to say other than sabotage. This is a Pfizer saboteur that came in and messed up Moderna's supply there. That's what I'm thinking.
Vax Wars.
Vax Wars. Da, 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 da. Okay.
All right. Here's a quick one for you. This is kind of a super cut of a lot of the failed vaccination PR videos. I just thought, we can't get away with not showing them. The first one, oopsies. The first one was the guy who, what?
I think he's a doctor, right?
Yeah, he's a doctor, and the guy giving him the shot, there's nothing in the plunger is all the way pushed down. And instead of, I don't know, saying, whoopsies, got the wrong syringe or something, he just sort of like pantomimes pushing it down. And then just kind of walks away. Oh, did it good. I feel bad for the doctor. He just got stabbed for no reason.
No reason. That's how I used to play doctor with my toy syringes.
Yeah, it looks like a toddler pretending to use a syringe. Then, of course, they show the nurse lady we've already talked about. And then there's the one with the disappearing needle. Did you see this one? Yeah, where the lady puts the needle into the arm, pushes the plunger, and when she pulls it out, the needle is gone. Which, I will say this, though. This one did get slightly debunked for me.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, so of course there's the allegations of retractable needles, giving fake shots, things like that. Apparently there is a type of syringe that does use an automatically retracting needle. And it's for safety purposes. I saw like a medical video showing how it works. But I don't know. I've never used one. I've never had one used. It kind of looks a little sketchy because you stick it all the way in, and then once the plunger is all the way down, it activates some sort of mechanism that really quickly pulls the needle back in. Pulls it into the syringe. I don't know. Never seen it in real life.
Here's my thing too. At least the woman fainting, we know because it was reported, in local news. There's a certain level of like, okay, this actually happened with the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Is there any hard evidence that the first guy, the doctor-looking guy, and then this shot here that you're talking about was actually from the COVID vaccine? Is there like hard proof of that, or is it just?
No, I don't know. Yeah, that could be an issue. I've just seen this video floating around. So yeah, that is a good thing to keep in mind when you're seeing just random videos floating around the internet claiming to be something. You just don't know unless you know. You know, unless there's some sort of longer video with context and things like that. You just never really know. These were fun, seeing them floating around. got me a little fired up for a second, but only took about 3 minutes of research to find out that they're called, what are they called? I don't know, some safety syringe or something.
The other thing though, why would only some of the vaccine needles have that and other ones wouldn't?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? I was a little curious too. I was kind of under the impression that all of this would be standardized.
Yeah.
But guess not. I mean, this
is it like a roulette thing? Like, you got the retractable needle.
To use whatever you got in stock. Yeah, who knows? All I have are these retractable needle ones. Hope no conspiracy theorists see a video of this because it's all I got.
What if they're like, all we got is the stuff that was discarded by the heroin addicts on the streets of San Francisco.
Gosh. Jeez.
We tried to sterilize it for you, but
if there's some sort of shortage of syringes, San Francisco, they got them laying in the streets for you. But there was one public vaccination that did concern me a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was this one, the pregnant lady. This was a Twitter post from Jaime Feynman. Happy and humbled to get my COVID vaccine today at 31 weeks pregnant, protecting myself, my patients, my family, and hopefully my unborn child all with one shot. Ooh, yikes. Hopefully my unborn child all with one shot. Hashtag not throwing away my shot. Oh, good. Gets a Hamilton quote in there.
Let me just say something real quick. This lady here, she's looks like she's at Temple University. She has a picture of herself, like a selfie or something of after the shot. She has that sticker. I got my COVID-19 vaccine. And
we get a sticker? I've not seen these stickers.
Oh yeah, she has a sticker, and it reminds me of the I voted.
Yes, I voted sticker. Is the virtue signaling of all virtue signaling.
And anytime you use the V as a check mark, it's virtue signaling.
That's a good point. That is a really
it's just
the
exact
point.
same thing on the vote stickers.
Totally.
The V is a check
mark. The vote is a check mark. You're doing it for the likes. And I saw there was a number of pregnant women who are very proud of themselves getting these vaccines. And it just made me a little concerned. And I went on a long journey trying to find clips about it not recommending. I seem to have burned into my memory a clip of Fauci saying that it was that they don't recommend pregnant women get the vaccine. And then you and I went through this back and forth. You seem to remember that it was Bill Gates saying it.
I was questioning whether it might have been Bill Gates that mentioned it, because I do remember somebody saying it. It's one of the two. It was either Fauci or Bill Gates recently. If somebody in the chat remembers or has a clip, let us know.
You did find one clip. Did you keep
that
clip
I have a couple. Yeah, I have a couple things to mention here.
Let's just play through some things, and then I want to express my concern.
So the first thing I want to mention is that as we were looking for this clip of either Fauci or Bill Gates talking about, not getting or not having pregnant women shouldn't get vaccinated. At least for the last couple weeks, all the stories that are out there are how safe this vaccine is for pregnant women. And so that's part of it, number one. And I'm sure you'll got more to say about that. But this, if you do a little, finagling with the Google search or the Bing search,
really not easy to find.
No, you gotta put the time, limits on it or date limit and stuff. So I found this one from ibc.co.uk from December 2nd. Can pregnant women get the COVID vaccine? And it goes into the whole thing, and it has a little section here. It was certified by regulators, blah, blah, blah. However, despite those guarantees, it's likely pregnant women or pregnant people. It says pregnant people.
Yeah. Well, there you go. 2020
will be advised against the Pfizer COVID vaccine. At present, nothing has been said in England or Wales, but Scotland have issued a statement. Scotland's chief medical officer has said, quote, people who are pregnant or are imminently planning to become pregnant are being advised against getting the Pfizer vaccine or COVID vaccine because of a lack of data around its effects on pregnancy.
Right.
And during the vaccine trials, it's unlikely they will test on pregnant women, meaning it would be difficult to tell the true effects of pregnancy. And I think you had mentioned that there was a couple people that got pregnant during the trials.
Yeah. So I went digging around, and I'm sorry, did you have a clip or not a clip?
I do have a clip of Fauci. You want me to play that one?
Yeah, play the clip.
Okay, so this is Fauci from November 29th on NBC News.
Well, traditionally, Chuck, the direct answer to your question, it's going to be months. And the reason is traditionally, when you have a situation like a new vaccine, you want to make sure, because children as well as pregnant women are vulnerable. So before you put it into the children, you're going to want to make sure you have a degree of efficacy and safety that is established in an adult population, particularly an adult normal population.
I like how he talks about putting it in children.
Yeah.
Just it's very Bill Gates-ish, sticking right into the vein.
It really is. These people, are weird, man.
Yeah. But that's where he mentions at least
the children one. Where's the pregnant one?
He mentions pregnant women. Did you miss it?
Oh, I must have missed it. I was doing something else.
Here, I'm going to play it. You want me to play it again so you can hear it?
Yes, please.
You put it into the children, you're going to want to make sure you have a degree of efficacy. And additionally, when you have a situation like a new vaccine, you want to make sure, because children as well as pregnant women.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. So here's the point, and I'm trying to look up a timeline. I just because I want to be precise with this here. So yes, the biggest problem with pregnant women getting the vaccine right now is mainly, and in the words of the people we are led to believe that we should be led to believe, is that it hasn't been tested on pregnant women. They just don't know. Pregnant women were not a part of the trials. And going into the trial data, there were 2 participants who got the vaccine who became pregnant during the trial. And that was kind of touted in a couple of stories as like, oh yeah, don't worry, a couple of women got pregnant during the trial. Well, the trial was going on in the middle of this year, and so there's no way that those women had gotten a chance to have their babies. So we don't actually know anything about all we know is that, the women didn't die, or that they were actually able to successfully get pregnant while they were, while they had the vaccine in them. And anyways, just to sum it up to keep things moving, the problem is it has not been tested on pregnant women. There's no data on pregnancy or nursing even on what the effects might be. It's very concerning with the anaphylactic shock going on. That makes me extra worried about the nursing aspect. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a pregnant woman and you're getting the vaccine, you are the test. You are the trial. There is no data. You are the ones who are going to find out if this is harmful or not. I mean, you're basically signing up your unborn child for a vaccination trial. That's what it is. And that is pretty concerning. That would not be something I would recommend anybody that I personally care about to take part in.
We are the guinea pig, and they have pinned us to become the big guinea pig, or at least the ones that are complicit.
Right. And, that's the thing. This whole, the PR around this, with the notable exceptions that we bring up in this show, is that it's totally safe, nothing to worry about. Everybody should get it, even if you have a history of severe allergic reactions. Don't worry, you can still get it. Just make sure there's a EpiPen and a defibrillator around you, and we'll bring you back to life. It's worth it. But with the pregnant women thing, it's just you are signing up to a vaccination trial on your unborn child without signing any waivers and without any compensation. It's a free trial on unborn children and pregnant women. that they're not having to pay for. And there are no ways for you to get any recompense for damages at all. You will, if something happens, you will not get anything in return.
Yeah, and we did have this for the sake of time. I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my goodness, we started so late. Yeah. But this is a headline from CNBC. You can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID vaccine side effects. The government likely won't compensate you for damages either.
And that's the big point in that one, isn't it?
It is. And it's interesting because it's coming from CNBC. You know, this is their legal caveat.
Yeah, it's an actual mainstream article. And it's interesting, you know, the government won't get you back either. I'm wondering if that's their way of talking about even the vaccine courts won't have anything to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just totally immune. I don't get it. Somebody had a meme that showed this whole system here of, or not system, but the workflow of these vaccines, make these people making money off of it. And then you get a jab, but you can't sue anybody. And, if there's damages, then tough luck.
You're doing it voluntarily at this point. So,
yeah. Although the bullet points on this article, under the PrEP Act, companies like Pfizer and Moderna have total immunity from liability if something unintentionally goes wrong with their vaccines. A little-known government program provides benefit to people who can prove they suffered serious injury from a vaccine. Is that the one that had like billions of dollars they've spent over the last like 20, 30 years?
Yeah, my last count was 4 billion.
4 billion. Yeah. But then it's very difficult to even get through. Which seems
low overall, considering the amount of people that try to get. I think the average was you get around 200K if something horrible
like that
goes wrong with your vaccine.
Right, with the number of people. That program rarely pays, covering just 29 claims over the last decade. So even people that claim it,
29 over the last decade.
Yeah, wow. They must be very well protected.
Yeah, no, that is not something to count on.
But don't worry, we're all just fake news here, folks. Washington Post published, no, COVID-19 vaccines didn't kill any trial participants. And more parsing of latest disinformation on the shots.
Yeah.
And we won't read this because the first 3/4 of this article is literally
it's just an ad for a fact-checking app.
For children, like for young people and educators. It's called The Sift.
Yeah.
Almost like the Sith.
It's like 5 paragraphs to try to get you to use their app.
So it's a news literacy project, a nonprofit, and they have their thing, The Sift, which takes the most recent viral rumors, conspiracy theories, hoaxes, and journalistic ethic issues and turns them into timely lessons with discussion prompts and links.
Great.
Yeah, The Sift.
Yeah, maybe we should get it and just do a podcast. It's got discussion prompts. We can just do a new one for every podcast.
I disagree with The Sift.
The Sift. It sounds too much like the Sith.
That's what I'm saying. It's
evil Jedi.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
66. So one of them was, this is how they lay it out. They will, for example, they'll have 2 people who took the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine during a trial did not die as a result of the injections. Yes, the 2 trial participants died from other causes, one from a heart attack about 2 months after the second dose, and another from, quote, baseline obesity and pre-existing arteriosclerosis or hardening of the arteries. And the point is, the takeaway here is just so easy. It's low-hanging fruit for people like us. You were mentioning it before the show, Basil.
Yeah, it's the, when we're counting COVID deaths, both heart attack and pre-existing arteriosclerosis would count as COVID deaths. even with those pre-existing conditions or an unrelated heart attack. Those have been counted as COVID deaths all year long. However, when it comes to a vaccine trial, no. Those are unrelated. Don't worry. This has nothing to do with the injection that we gave them. So you got a nice little double standard, nice little double speak of when it counts towards the pandemic, a heart attack and arterial sclerosis count as COVID deaths, but no, they don't count as deaths from the vaccine.
Yep, according to fact checking. So it's true. They had another one here that talked about one we I guess we ended up covering and somewhat debunking, so to speak. No, there is no microchip in the coronavirus vaccine. Yes, the video in this Facebook post includes out-of-context clips of an interview originally broadcast on the Christian Broadcasting Network.
This guy.
Club 700 Club, Jay Walker of Epiject Systems Corp. The Sith says, yes, in the interview, Walker describes an emergency tracking feature on the exterior of a syringe. No, the optional radio frequency identification, the RFID chip on the syringe, would not track patients' personal location. I don't know if that was the claim to begin with, but okay. Yes, it is designed to track vaccine expiration and the location of delivery and to combat counterfeiting of the vaccine.
Yeah.
And yes, the headline in the original story of the 700 Club website is also misleading. Those evil Christian.
Well, that's true. I was a little annoyed with that.
Yeah.
And just because, even RFIDs in general, it doesn't matter. I've already gone through this.
But here's where it's kind of like, all right, fine. It's good that they're being clear about some of this stuff, but they have to add a note. Baseless claims about injectable microchips are common in anti-vaccination propaganda and New World Order conspiracy theories.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Yeah, and this is this whole article in general from the Washington Post is a good example of mixing truths with lies.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, this the fact checking done about the chip on the syringe, which this was also kind of weird and misleading because these vaccines are not shipped pre-syringed. They're not in a syringe when they're shipped. They're in a bottle. So I don't know. It was weird. This guy was kind of
not this Epiject Systems
giving the impression that
we RFID everything. We want RFID your soul.
It's a very common practice in the pharmaceutical industry. But yes, no, you don't get a microchip into your body as far as what we've seen so far. And the fact that, if you see a doctor pull the vaccine, anyways, doesn't matter. But the point is they mix, a true debunking with a sort of, if you know the facts and you pay attention, a ridiculous debunking.
Right.
And that's how they get away with it.
Yeah. So those are sort of the main thing. We spent a good amount of time on the vaccine stuff because there's just so much out there right now.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, the story we've been waiting for all year.
Yeah, I guess. And one of the things I wanted to get off my chest real quick before we go into a break here is somebody tweeted at me and they were talking about how their father-in-law contracted COVID-19, went to the hospital. He was being treated with remdesivir and he was doing well, but then they pulled the treatment and he started to decline again. And the doctors told him that, they don't have any kind of, treatment that they can do at this point. And he passed away. He was 60. I think they said he was 73 years old. So, above the age that is, this is a pretty dangerous thing for the elder folk. And he was mentioning how so many people treated him and his wife poorly, like Christian truther types, saying like, oh, how did he actually die? What's the real story? And that sort of thing. And just pointing out the insensitive nature of some of these truthers when it comes to this issue. And I can understand that. It's kind of like, that's the one thing I've been very careful about is not because these, people are losing family members, whether it be directly from COVID-19 or not. I think it had probably to do with other issues, but I don't know. I'm not going to necessarily ask that question to them. But it's one of those things where it's almost like we have our own disease, Basil, where we like question everything, and we just ask questions, and we think critically about stuff, and we're not going to crazy blogs and stuff. It's just going to the actual sources. And one of the things that I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I want you to finish. I'm just watching the chat, and yes, I do want to react to what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah. So a couple things. One of them, I found this thing from macrotrends.net, and this is a United Nations statistics type of thing, I think. Yeah, United Nations data source. And they have this death rate, projected death rate. And you can finagle the amount here. This is from 1950 to 2102, so 2102. And it's like parabolic from right now, which, if people are looking at the screen, 2020, by 2050, we're supposed to like increase quite a bit in terms of people that die in the world.
Right.
And so, I mean, they're just already planning this depopulation thing, but that's not the only reason why I wanted to bring this up. The other reason is I have the CDC website here, data.cdc.gov. And this is the COVID-19 situation here. And you have all ages at the top, all sexes in the United States. And this is as of December 12th, 2020. And COVID-19 deaths is marked at 276,061. Pneumonia deaths is marked at 267,901. Now, I was looking up some stuff, pneumonia deaths annually, and according to the CDC, pneumonia takes out about 50,000 people in America, in the United States, every year.
Right.
So I'm going, okay, the average is about 50,000 that die from pneumonia each year. And this year we've had 267,000 people die from pneumonia. And this is pneumonia alone. All right. So that's really weird. That's like, okay, are we having a pneumonia pandemic as well that no one's talking about? Or is this a numbers finagling? Because literally the number.
What I would say to you is, well, yes, because COVID causes you to get pneumonia, Gons.
Yeah, but there's a whole separate column for pneumonia and COVID deaths.
Yes,
and
that's crazy.
It's set at 126,586. So that leaves, that's only like 40% or so of the total pneumonia deaths. So what the heck is going on with that? And then the pneumonia, influenza, and COVID-19 deaths is 423,000. And influenza, the flu, the number is 6,897.
Which is insanely low.
So what in the world? And like I'm just looking at the numbers, going, this is very bizarre.
So pneumonia alone is up 400%.
Yes.
Pneumonia and COVID, which they separated for some reason. So you can't even say that all this pneumonia is because of COVID. It's just the wildest numbers I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's just very bizarre. But the weird thing is the number of pneumonia deaths is very close. Pneumonia only deaths,
right?
267,901 is very close to the COVID deaths, which is 276,061. So both around, just not a few.
So what you're saying is there's no way to parse the numbers.
No,
that show anything other than a pneumonia pandemic.
We're in a pneumonia
as a COVID pandemic.
That, or they're doubling up the way they counted, or I have no idea. The other thing to point out is total deaths. This is all deaths, and we touched on this in the last episode. All deaths in the United States this year is at 2,777,572 as of the 12th of December.
Sounds about right.
Well, this is starting in February 1st, so maybe there's a little bit more. But the annual rate of death, like all deaths in the United States, has been rising every year. And we've already breached 2.8 million in the last 2 years. So 2017 and 2018, both years we had more than 2.8 million deaths total in America from all reasons.
So we're on track for the exact projected amount of deaths.
So if it's a real pandemic and people are dying and all this, you would expect a lot more people dying this year. But we're just
at
right
least 300,000 more because of COVID, you know.
Sure.
You'd at least have 300,000 more deaths.
Yeah. And at this point, maybe that's why they're starting to talk about the outbreak and the shutdown and all this, because they want to make sure the numbers make it seem like it was an awful year of deaths in America.
Just for the sake of picking it apart, it seems like the simplest explanation to that would be that they counted a bunch of flu deaths as pneumonia deaths.
It's possible.
Because flu is way, way down and pneumonia is way, way up.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe that little trade.
Sure, but that's not enough.
Around the right spot.
Well, it's not enough though, because influenza only deaths annually is like between 30,000 and the highest it was in the last few years was 70,000.
That's not even close.
No, it's not. And 2018, they reported that just in flu season, we had almost 80,000 deaths from just the flu.
Yeah.
So that's,
well, of course, the rise in pneumonia deaths, if you're a fringy person, is because you get pneumonia from wearing a mask, apparently.
Yeah, that could be it too. Yeah. But I just thought the numbers were very weird here, directly from the CDC's own website, and looking at the data, it's just,
just makes no sense.
It's just weird. It's just a weird thing. And if they're talking about transparency and all this, you'd expect maybe something that makes a little bit more sense, but nope, not at all. And COVID deaths, especially like locking down children, makes absolutely no sense at all.
Right.
Because that's the other weird thing too. The pneumonia thing talked about how a lot, children under 5 are infected every year, with pneumonia. It's a problem. But according to the chart here, the pneumonia only deaths, it's fairly low. 14 years and under is well under 1,000 deaths. I think it's under like 800 deaths or something. And then COVID deaths under the age of 24 is 700 maybe. So why are we shutting down schools and all that? It just doesn't make any sense. And none of this makes sense.
Children guns.
None of this makes sense. So anyway, I just wanted to rant about that and get it off my chest because
that's
it's
fine.
ridiculous.
That's good. Well, I think we should move on.
Okay, we got to be quick here because
it's late. Do it. Be quick.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okie dokie, folks. We're going to take a quick break to thank some of our producers and artists and things like that, as well as take a look at some fun reviews and things. But after the break, don't go anywhere because we're going to be zooming through a couple of other key data points revolving around the Twitter removal of C19 info. Going to be checking in with the WEF. And we'll see if we get to some artificial intelligence stuff. But first, we want to start by thanking some of our producers. That's right. And if you're new to the show, we are on the value for value model. We don't do any advertisements at the beginning, middle, or end of the show, or any product placement. Any products mentioned in the show are just simply thanks to coincidence. And I'll skip my whole diatribe about advertising today for sake of time and because everybody was so patient with my rants in the past couple episodes. Basically, advertising is responsible for most of the problems with the internet and with censorship and with the world and all the bad things we like to what am I trying to say? My brain is all switched off today. complain about, all the things we like to complain about, you can really trace all of it back to advertising. So we decided that just even on a spiritual level, we could not be acquiescent to the global force of economic manipulation and social brainwashing that is advertising. And it wasn't the best business decision, but at least we can feel good about what we do. Instead, we are on the value for value model, which gives you, dear listener, a chance to put the value on the media that you consume yourself instead of allowing advertising agencies to dictate the value for you. I know you actually have to take some responsibility in this media landscape, which is kind of unfortunate when you're used to just being advertised to your whole life. And I do want to mention as well, when you're absorbing information from the internet, no matter where it is on the internet, you want to consider the funding mechanism behind that media. Are they trying to sell you something? First of all, do they run ads? That's something you want to consider. Are they trying to sell you something? Them increasing fear in your life, does that lead you to purchase something from them to save you? That's something to question. Do they make their money on amount of views or amount of likes? What is the monetized system that is incentivizing that piece of media? Well, right here, the only incentivization that we have is the support of our producers, and that is you, potentially. But it is the support of our producers that we have for this show of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 278. And if you want to become a producer, you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. Luckily, this will be a short producer segment because we have no new Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/CCNT. But you can always head on over to canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. Ooh, Arnie W27 in Twitch said you've been hadvertising. That's right. If ads start popping up, you've been hadvertised to. But canarycryradio.com/support has a bunch of good content on there, but it also has producership options. The first one is monthly producership. You can sign up to produce the show every single month, and that goes a long way to laying down a good sustained foundation to keep the show going 3 times a week. But if commitment is not your thing, you can come in with a producership in any amount for a one-time credit. And Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
Today we have, starting off, Vincent P. Producer Vincent P. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer Vincent P.
Then we have producer A Unique Jewelry Boutique.
Ooh, A Unique Jewelry Boutique. Thank you for your producership.
And
is that a website?
Yeah, it's uniquejewelryboutique.com.
Okay.
And they said, I love your show. You guys are the best, aka Deplorable Poo.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Producer A Unique Jewelry Boutique.
Yes. And next up, we have producer Kara.
Thank you very much, producer Kara. Or Sarah.
Sarah. I always forget which one it was.
Me too.
I think it's Kara, though. Merry Christmas, Basil and Gons. Wish I could give more. Thank you for what you're doing. It's not just about getting us information, but about the community you have created. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. And I will also pass on the credit to you guys. I mean, we just do what we do, and you guys are the community.
Yeah, you guys are the community. We just facilitate this
We're just
show.
here.
Yeah, we're just here. So thank you for that, Producer Kara. Next up, Producer Spears Desert.
Thank you, Producer Spears Desert. You're back.
You're back. Thank you for that. Producer Fortunato A.
Ooh.
Yes.
Producer Fortunato.
Yeah, thank you very much, Producer Fortunato. And then also Producer Saul A. also coming in.
Thank you very much, Producer Saul A.
Yes. And are we going to night?
Yes.
Today?
Let's night today.
All right. Are you ready for this? We haven't.
I'm ready if you're ready.
Okay. Yeah.
We also we have the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And these are very special producers that over the years have supported the show, produced the show in the amount of $1,000 or more. And we have a knighting today, Gons.
All right. Are you going to take the sword out for the knighting or what's the...
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Sorry. Here you go.
Very nice. Nice sword. Nice piece. I got mine. Thanks. My katana is ready to go.
Okie dokie, folks. Get ready because we have a new night. Everybody stand to your feet, please, because we want to call up Sir Aaron. Please step forward to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, where we have a seat for you. Thanks to your generous support in the amount of $1,000 or more, we are proud to pronounce you Knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable. You shall now be known as Sir Aaron, Knight of the Wabanakis in the Valley of the Mighty Kuntukuk. I hope I said that right. At the Canary Cry Roundtable, where we have the belt of truthful truthiness, the breastplate of righteousness, custom fit Birkenstocks to carry forth the gospel of peace, the shield of ferocious faith, the helmet of substantiating salvation, the supernatural sword of the spirit, and of course, adorable samurai babies, infinitely cute kitties for cuddling. And if you're hungry, we have the Fancy Feast wet food, carved Cosmo, the CRISPR cow, and of course, fried wormicorns. Welcome to the Canary Cry Knights and Dames Roundtable, Sir Aaron, Knight of the Wabanakis in the Valley of the Mighty Kuntukuk. Oh, wow. We made it through. It has been a while since we've done that. Thank you.
That was pretty cold, too. As I kicked it into the music, and I don't think you were ready for it, but you did a good job.
Been a couple months since I've made it through that. So Thank you very much. We're very proud to have a new night at the Canary Cry Roundtable. Sir Aaron, thank you very much for your support of the show. And all you producers out there, there are plenty of you working towards your knighthood. And we thank you very, very much for the continued support.
Yes. And I see all the thank yous coming in from the chat there. So we appreciate that.
Yes,
thank
you've got
all
a
the
lot of
producers.
fans, Sir Aaron.
Yeah. But right now we want to thank some other producers before getting back into the show. You can help produce the show with your treasure, which we thanked the people that did that, and then your time and your talent. And you can send us jingles or you can send us art.
One art, please.
And today I think we only have one piece of art to share.
Yeah.
And it comes from producer Allie. And producer Allie made this piece that you are seeing on the screen. If you're not seeing it on the screen, Basil will explain what is happening.
Yes, that's right. This is a wonderful piece, producer Allie. And let's see where to start. This was actually in regards to the intro for the podcast version of last episode, where we had a little mix-up where Gons had a technical foul. And it turns out my audio was so crispy and his was not. And so if you listen to the podcast version, we had an intro where I go, ha 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 ha, I'm the crispy one this time. So on the left, we have a brontosaurus leaning into the frame, very tall and regal, with its head sort of drooping down, with a little kitten holding on to the brontosaurus neck there, very cute. And then there is me standing valiantly on top of a smaller brontosaurus, because most dinosaurs were the size of chickens, looking very buff. Thank you very much for that, producer Allie. I think I'm getting closer. I've got a very valiant stance on top of that dinosaur there. And under the ground, there is Gons in a barrel, where I forget, that was my description of the way your audio sounded in that last podcast. I think it was, you sound like you're in a barrel buried under something. Do you remember what that was?
I don't know, but it's how I've lived most of my life.
Being trampled on brontosauruses. So it was a beautiful depiction of the intro to that podcast episode. And thank you very much. This one's going to make it on the wall. So
Yes.
I might sneak into Gonza's house and put it on his wall so he knows where he stands.
Producer Ali, thank you so much. Our youngest known producer of Canary Cry News Talk. So we
yes,
really
and
appreciate
most prolific artist.
Most prolific artist. And also a quick thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps. Continued effort in giving us timestamps there, so we appreciate that. Canary Cry Merch Perch, where you can get your merch. And let's see.
And
what
just
else?
to make sure, if you're new listening to the show, we do not run Canary Cry Merch Perch. That is run by a producer of the show who puts that all together. All merch is sold at cost to keep it nice and cheap for Canarians.
Right. Asking you a question, Basil, telepathically. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think we're ready for that.
Okay.
I just don't think we're ready. We haven't.
Okay,
figured that.
fine.
Okay. We'll do it on Monday.
Yes. We do also ask people to give us ratings and reviews on the Apple podcast thing. Do you want to read a few of them? We got some great ones that came in the last few days here.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. I had them all pulled up. Oh, where's the tab? There it is. Okay, reviews for this podcast. Let's see. Thank you to everybody who left new reviews to the podcast. It was wonderful. It helps us out a lot and convinces those iTunes algorithms to share the show. First of all, we have, oh, shoot. You know what? I'm sorry. Do you have them pulled up?
I do, yeah.
Okay, why don't you start with the first one? Because I have them pulled up on our Chartable, but it doesn't tell me who left them, and that's kind of important.
Do you remember the last one that we read?
Yeah, I do. But just start with the first one, and
let's see. We already read Bun Bun Poofy Face. I remember that one. What about
just start with the very most recent one?
Oh, okay. So from Malik025, The Good Stuff. What a great show with two intellectual and witty individuals as its host. Entertaining and informative. 5 stars across the board, boys. Thank you so much. From
Wonderful.
Malik025. And then from Mr. Isidro, maybe? Best podcast. Greatest 2 hosts of all time. Wow. That's pretty
good. That's quite the award.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And then another one from Ken Rosal. Fragile and Lost, try Basil and Gons. I like how we're like a food product or something.
Yeah, I have them up here now. Let me read this one. Thank you, Ken Rosal. 5 stars. Fragile and Lost. Try Basil and Gons. Canary Cry News Talk strikes the perfect balance of conspiracy and facts, of seeking the truth of our flat world and knowing the truth, Jesus. Though I wish there was a lot more Bible in the show, being weird and alternative and quirky, yet being factual, sensible, and normal at the same time. Basil and Gons, I really appreciate the work you've done with the show. I'd be going down a depressing rabbit trail of over-sensationalized 2020 conspiracy if it wasn't for this show. Thank you for pointing that out, because today, the chat especially, you can tell that there are, hey, I love all of you, but you got to really watch the over-sensational stuff that you're taking as fact. The truth of what's happening is easier to take in. Thanks. Also, quick gospel. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. John 14:6. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved. Acts 16:31. For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of ourselves. yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. Ephesians 2, 8 and 9. For whoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Romans 10, 13. Thank you very much, Ken. We appreciate that.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Getting some gospel in there. Another 5-star review from Jay Bonzer. Keep it up. Current events from a fringe truth biblical perspective doesn't get much better. Basil Podcasterson is eccentric, but adds another layer to the podcast. I enjoy what Baz and Gons bring to the table each week and look forward to the new stream notification. P.S. I wish you guys would ditch Google, but I'm sure that's already in the plan. It is in the plan. Thank you very much, J Bones. Why listen to Canary Cry Radio? This is a 5-star from Puerto Rock, NJ. Why listen to Canary Cry Radio? A similar question can be asked. Why breathe? Out of necessity, one would say. Another may state involuntarily, just something the body does to maintain life. Well, no more. The choice is now in your hands. While we are being forced garbage in the forms of mainstream media news outlets, there is indeed one form of news that has the lovely fresh life effect of breathing in air. It is Canary Cry Radio. Basil and Gons take the world by its horns, rattle a few cages, and provide us with amazing analysis of world's events with a unique and wonderful worldview. Prepare for a podcast that not only pushes existing boundaries and territories to never before reached places and heights, but also dares to embark into the regions of truth and logic. Oh, how daring of us. Very rarely has any others taken us to these now foreign lands, but we can be in good hands knowing these two gentlemen have our best interests in heart. Strap up, strap in, and enjoy the show. That's right. Thank you very much, Puerto Rock NJ. And we really do have your best interests at heart, no matter how angry some people get in the chat. 5 stars from Dr. Who Done Dat. News through the lens of Bible prophecy. Basil and Gons help me feel less crazy one podcast at a time. Oh, that makes me feel good. Thanks for accompanying me through my drive time and work days. Gons and Basil are both 5 stars.
Hey.
Oh, you hear that, Gons?
10 stars.
Both 5 stars. Just a couple more here.
I think just one more.
Just one more, yeah. S. Zelnak, 5 stars. My favorite podcast. Simply my favorite podcast. Thanks, Basil and Gons.
Right.
Thank you very much, S. Zelnak. Okay, that's all the reviews for the day. Thank you guys so much for those reviews. And if you have not left a rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts yet, please do. It goes a really long way to convincing the iTunes robots to let other people know about the show. Is one of the best ways you can spread the show without, letting everybody know that you're a weirdo. So, thank you very much for that.
All right. Let's thank you to all the producers out there. We're going to try to run through a few of these stories to wrap up today's episode. But to do that, we got to come out of the break. We got to wake up.
Yes,
wake up.
It's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Okay. First off, Forbes.com, Twitter to remove tweets containing vaccine misinformation.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't come as a surprise. That has been threatened here for a while.
Yeah, so beginning 2021, it will remove tweets, Twitter will remove tweets containing misinformation about COVID-19 vaccines as conspiracy theories surrounding inoculations increase following the beginning of the largest immunization campaign in U.S. history. It's just one of those ongoing questions of number one, who is determining is Twitter the arbiter of truth, number one? Number two, how do they determine what is false? Just compared to...
Exactly. It's the mainstream narrative. Whatever narrative they're told to approve is what gets approved. It's the Ministry of Truthiness from 1984.
I think the last vagabond was complaining on Twitter earlier that all he does is source mainstream articles and mainstream things, kind of like what we do. Yeah. But he's having a lot of trouble having his videos stay up. And I think it's because, we're part of the reason why we make ridiculous names for episode titles and stuff is to try to not draw that attention.
Right. It's tricky.
Which is tricky. Yeah, you're right. Because
it's a strategy. It's harder to spread the show that way, but at least we don't get taken down.
For now, I'm sure they can.
For now,
they're reading every word we say on their thing, and it'll eventually come around. But yeah, I mean, no surprises there. Not really much of a story other than just to let everybody know.
And you make a good point, and with whoever you just mentioned there, which is, if you're looking for a conglomeration of the craziest, conspiracy theories, and I will say, unfortunately, look, I'm a crazy, fringy guy. I've been that way for almost a decade. We've been doing our shows, Gons. But the point of the matter is, you can get enough of that real analysis just by reading the mainstream and just comparing them to each other, taking the official, pointing out the lies by taking the quote unquote official narrative and dissecting it. There's no need to, read the craziest conspiracy blogs we can. I mean, anybody can do that anywhere. And, honestly, unfortunately, there is a lot of those that aren't very reliable or aren't, not that they would purposefully mislead for any number of reasons, but it's really important to keep a level head in these times and not go off the rails with information that might not be represented in necessarily a way that has, your best interest in mind. It's much more profitable to say the craziest, scariest thing that you possibly can and then sell people things or gain advertising revenue. Not that I'm accusing anybody of this. I'm just saying on principle, it is easier to do that than to go at it with a level head, take the mainstream narrative and pick it apart and let it sit bare in front of you alone without having to add anything or take anything away from it. And that's what we try to do here on this show.
Yeah, Midwest BJH in the chat was talking about how anyone noticed the mainstream news videos on YouTube about the C19 vax have a lot of thumbs down and negative comments. I think there's a lot more people realizing how ridiculous some of this is. Or maybe they're just more vocal now than they used to be. But yeah, I have noticed that. You go to some of these videos and they have like thousands of thumbs down, and it's, Biden talking about how he's going to save the world with vaccines or something.
I know. I love it.
But there you go. I mean, Twitter, this is nothing new. Although I will be interested to see if Trump does pull off the, trying to eliminate Section 230. Maybe they're actually prepping for that. Because part of eliminating 230 is, Twitter basically coming out and saying they're publishers.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, if they think they're going to lose 230 protections, that's for those who might need an update. 230 is the legislation that allows social media platforms to not be categorized as publishers, which protects them from all sorts of speech that happens on their platform. But when they decide to censor things and editorialize is the official term, then they lose those protections. So it sounds like they're planning on losing those protections.
Yeah, maybe it's good news. Maybe we realize it. But now that I think about it,
I don't know. If 230 gets repealed or changed in too much of a way, it does put some other more legit social networks at risk.
I know
everybody's stoked on like Parler and all these other places. I'm sure it'll just be an amendment. I'm sure it won't just disappear. But it sounds like Twitter is planning on no longer complying with Section 230.
Right. Well, Trump was tweeting out about how he wants to eliminate 230 consistently. So I don't know if that's just his way of communicating some of the intricacies of that to, more simpler.
Right, making it a simple narrative.
Yeah, simplifying it or whatever. But yeah, he just keeps saying eliminate. So I'm sitting there going, well, don't eliminate the whole thing.
Yeah, eliminate would be bad.
Yeah, it'd be bad for everybody, but amend good. Okay, so that's one thing here. This one was a little bit, I wish we had more time to go into it. Maybe we'll save it for the next episode. But this is the worldeconomicforum.org. Mm-hmm. And this article is headlined, Facial Recognition Can Help Restart Post-Pandemic Travel. Here's how to limit the risks. And, it goes into the problem we've had in the facial recognition. And it even mentions like, the concerns about privacy and surveillance and even racial profiling. They always throw that one in.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about this is one of the bullet points here, to combat these challenges, which is the concerns over privacy, surveillance, and racial profiling, the World Economic Forum has released Responsible Limits on Facial Recognition Use Case Flow Management, an actionable framework to ensure the responsible use of facial recognition technology.
You mean this drinking club of rich guys, non-elected, nothing burgers who have no authority, who got together and just decided to start influencing, the world events? They decided that they have advice for facial recognition. Great. Nobody cares.
To address these challenges, the World Economic Forum's governance framework is structured around two key components. And then they outline the components, but it's like they're basically they've come out with this document that outlines robust governing structures for facial recognition. It's like, who did you vote for him? I vote for them. I didn't vote for them. I don't think anybody in the audience voted for them.
They're just like a bunch of old rich guys who drink baby blood and wear spacesuits.
Now, don't start saying that stuff after
Section 230, baby.
You're not entirely wrong about that, but the point being, how do these guys just like declare stuff like that? Like you and I was telling you before, you and I should start doing that. We should just declare a structure of governance of how the world ought to operate or should or will operate under our provision.
Well, let's start it. We'll call it the Earth. What should we got to make it sound kind of fancy. World Economic Forum. We'll call it the Earth Legislation Coalition. That's us. We get to make all the rules now because we're the Earth Legislation Coalition. We probably know more about the New World Order than most members of, at least low-level members of the World Economic Forum. So I think we got it on our resume.
Yeah, there you go. We can make T-shirts. We can have meetings at Davos. Go into the mountains and we'll get a giant statue of maybe not an owl, maybe like a brontosaurus, and we'll,
that'll be our it'll be a logo. It has to be a circle, of course, because no New World Order people will take us seriously if it's not a circle. So it'll be a circle, but it'll be like a brontosaurus, kind of like looped all the way around,
eating its own tail.
It'll be like an Ouroboros of a brontosaurus.
A brontosaurus Ouroboros. All right, producer.
And then we got to have the hollow Earth in there somewhere.
Oh, the hollow Earth and flat Earth at the same time. It's like
no, not flat Earth, because the UN.
The UN. That's right. The UN has the flat Earth.
We need the hollow Earth. Thing.
Very good.
All right,
and we will come out and we will just announce governance structures for the world to abide by. It'll just be our thing.
They'll start listening eventually.
Eventually. Yeah, even the New World Order had humble beginnings. Those Satanists.
Then to being in the Twitch chat, Grupo de los Gente Más Gigantes. What does that mean? This is a group of the, I don't know what Gente is.
Something giant.
The biggest giants.
Big.
The biggest Gente. I don't know what that is. Okay. All right. What else you got?
Okay. This one's another one that would like to spend more time on, but I forgot the jingle.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
All these fall under the facial recognition, and even this now. This is
Here, I'll
futurism.
take this one.
Yeah,
I like
take
this futurism thing. This is futurism.com. Oop, pop up. A new satellite can peer inside buildings, day or night. A few months ago, a company called Capella Space launched a satellite capable of taking clear radar images of anywhere in the world with incredible resolution, even through the walls of some buildings. And unlike, oh great, this is perfect. And unlike most of the huge array of surveillance and observational satellites orbiting the Earth, its satellite Capella 2 can snap a clear picture during day or night, rain or shine. Quote, it turns out that half of the world is in nighttime and half the world on average is cloudy. No kidding, CEO Payam Banazadeh, a former system engineer at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Classic.
Never a straight answer.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to clip? We need to clip this. I almost want a clip of a video version of it. Is Anakin Skywalker screaming liar. Do you know that scene from Star Wars, one of the Star Wars, where he goes, liar?
Yeah.
We need to get that ISO'd and just play it all the time.
That's a good one. Yeah, we do need that because that's pretty much the whole show whenever we read anything. Quote, when you combine those two together, about 75% of Earth at any given time is going to be cloudy, nighttime, or it's going to be both. It's invisible to you, and that portion is moving around. On Wednesday, Capella, this guy's like, I understand space. On Wednesday, Capella launched a platform allowing governmental or private customers to request images of anything in the world, a capability that will only get more powerful with the deployment of 6 additional satellites next year. Is that creepy from a privacy point of view? Sure. But Banazadeh says that it also plugs enormous holes in the ways scientists and government agencies are currently able to monitor the planet. Great.
Hold on. Plugs numerous holes. So, privacy concerns, sure. But then this Benedezeda guy is saying, oh, yeah, but it's going to help the way scientists and government agencies are currently monitoring their
agencies. We can take a picture inside your living room for the CIA. Don't worry, it's all fine. Quote, there's a bunch of gaps in how we're currently observing Earth from space. You mentioned that. The majority of the sensors we use to observe Earth are optical imaging sensors. He said, if it's cloudy, you're going to see the clouds. What's happening under the clouds? Thank you. And if there's not much light, you're going to have a really hard time getting an image that is useful. Oh man, this guy's a genius. By contrast, Capella can peer right through cloud cover and see just as well as in daylight as in total darkness. That's because instead of optical imaging, it uses synthetic aperture radar, or SAR. SAR works similarly to how dolphins and bats navigate using echolocation. The satellite beams down a powerful 9.65 gigahertz radio signal toward its target and then collects and interprets the signal as it bounces up into orbit. And because the satellite is sending down its signal rather than passively capturing light, sometimes those signals can even penetrate right through a building's wall, peering at the interior like Superman's X-ray vision. Quote,
this progress before it is too late.
I know. Quote, at that frequency, the clouds are pretty much transparent. Banazadeh told Futurism, quote, you can penetrate the clouds, fog, moisture, smoke, haze. Those things don't matter anymore. And because you're generating your own signal, it's as if you're carrying a flashlight. You don't care if it's day or night. Capella didn't invent SAR, but Banazadeh says it's the first U.S. company to offer the technology. That's a little concerning. It's the first U.S. company, but there's apparently other companies doing this same thing around the world, and the first worldwide to offer a more accessible platform to your government for potential customers to use. Quote, part of the challenge in this industry is that working with satellite, blah, 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 who cares? It's a rather long article, but I think we get the point. They're going to be able to, well, they are able to right now, just for a mere, a meager, government accessible budget, they can see right inside buildings. So this is cool. This is real cool. And it's all by zapping you with, what was it? 9.6 something gigahertz radio waves. So forget about 5G. This thing is like a targeted cancer sniping machine.
Yeah, it's like a laser.
Yeah.
This speaks to, and these are legit concerns here, but prophetic in its interpretation, or at least the understanding of it when it comes to Revelation 13. I've talked about it before, but people talk about the vaccine being the mark of the beast. Maybe not exactly. However, one of the things about the mark of the beast is that you cannot buy or sell without the mark or the worship of the image. Mm-hmm. And a technology like this would allow the surveillance of the entire world, because part of it, again, you can't buy or sell. The scriptures are pretty clear. You can't buy or sell without the mark, worshiping the image. Now, you and I, Basil, right now, we cannot get the vaccine, and I can sell stuff to you. You can sell stuff to me, and we can kind of carry on.
Right.
But the scriptures say,
you're pointing out that the vaccine does not qualify officially as the mark of the beast.
Right, because
contrary to some blogs you may have read, and contrary to some YouTube videos you may have seen.
Right. But under these types of technologies, a worldwide surveillance of every inch of this land that we live on called Earth, or land, I don't know, collection of lands, so to speak, and water. If you can surveil every part of it, then yes, not being able to buy or sell without the mark becomes an actual possibility. And then you're talking about, here's the thing that people also, and I talk about this in other, over the years I've mentioned it, but the mark of the beast, once it's deployed, it's like the people who reject it were basically, those are the martyrs. They're going to come after you. They're going to come and kill you. Yeah.
You are beheaded.
Yeah. So, people that are like really stoked that we're at the mark of the beast are fearing it. It's like, okay, you can fear the legit concerns for the vaccine, but a technology like this, I think, speaks even more to the prophetic significance of where we're at in the timeline than just the vaccine that they're rolling out that Mike Pence allegedly got on TV today. So just keeping things in context as to the prophetic timeline, and then what the scriptures actually say.
And if you have to take an oath denying Jesus Christ, then you can be pretty. That's a big step towards something actually being the mark of the beast,
and historically accurate too in that regard. If you go back to early Rome, they were doing that. You got to renounce your worship of Jesus. You got to worship Caesar. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's clear patterns in the scriptures, but there are certain things that appear very supernatural or highly technological. And I would say this story speaks to that type of thing where, hey, you can, hell, they're not going to get me. I'm going to be buying and selling with my friends in my basement. But this new satellite is like, no, we can see you.
Yeah. And it's got a image at the very top of the article, which I didn't really understand what I was looking at, but now I do. It's looking through skyscrapers.
Looking through the skyscrapers. Yeah, they can see everything. They can see literally you hiding in the basement.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's wild.
Okay. You got anything else on that? Or are we good to start our descent to landing the plane here? We have a couple artificial intelligence updates.
Artificial intelligence.
And the first one here, CNBC.com. Managers that use AI will replace those that do not, IBM executive says. Pay very close attention. Managers, like humans, that use AI will replace those that do not. So it's not saying AI is going to replace people as of yet. They're saying managers that don't use AI are going to be weeded out. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Key points. AI is not going to replace managers, but managers that use AI will replace those that do not, according to IBM Cloud and data executive Rob Thomas. Is that the same Rob Thomas from Matchbook 20?
Yeah, he became an IBM executive.
The pandemic saw increased demand for virtual assignments in customer service functions. Thomas added, IBM is to spin off its IT infrastructure arm so it can focus on higher margin cloud and AI services.
Yeah.
All right, great, fantastic. But it's another one of those things where, big companies like basically determining who can keep their job and who doesn't at the managerial level.
Well, it's interesting because it mentions in the article, this really is about giving our employees, our executives, superpowers.
Yeah.
And, one of the biggest things we saw take off in the pandemic was virtual assistants. So how do you care for employees? Blah, blah, blah. So they're basically saying, you can have humans sort of occupying the office of a manager, but if they're not basically taking orders or
enhancing their work,
enhancing their abilities with AI, then they're less effective.
They're going to be left behind.
It almost is like a societal cyborgism.
Yeah.
It's like a workplace cyborgism where, a manager could be a talented human being manager. Who knows? There's some of them out there. But doesn't matter how talented the human is, if he's not, integrating AI into his decision making, he's not the right guy for the job or lady.
And it's been the same thing with technology in general, especially in the last century, changing how jobs are done, basically with any kind of industry. This is the same thing, but it just seems more nefarious with AI, doesn't it? The extra human abilities and all that.
And that's one way, especially IBM regarding AI
IBM.
and cloud interfaces, big company involved in almost all the businesses, cloud, mixing cloud with AI. So you've got a remotely supplied AI interface. So basically, if IBM's in control of this thing and all the managers in the country are using it, IBM could more or less be controlling all the businesses through this weird little managerial assistant that they make available. Again, getting conspiracy-y here, but if every manager of every company in the US is taking orders from this AI, and the AI is operated from IBM servers, IBM potentially kind of has a finger in every business and making managerial decisions. It's kind of a very interesting kind of little takeover that they could instigate here. Again, this is sort of the sensational idea.
Release the AI Kraken. Every tentacle shall be up the... Yeah, I'll stop there.
Okay.
One more story to land a plane. TheHill.com. Air Force uses AI on military flight for the first time. When I first saw this, I was like, really? AI the first time used in Air Force military flight?
Yeah, interesting.
But here's the names they come up with.
Well, they did the AI dogfights. Oh, those were virtual, though.
Those are virtual, yeah. So this is the actual airplanes here. Artificial intelligence controlled sensor and navigation systems abroad. A U-2 Dragon Lady reconnaissance aircraft on Tuesday is what the Air Force is hailing as the first military flight with a AI co-pilot. Quote, putting AI safely in command of the U.S. military system for the first time ushers in a new age.
We will launch a new age
of human-machine teaming and algorithmic competition. Will Roper, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition Technology and Logistics, said in a statement Wednesday, failing to realize AI's full potential will mean ceding decision advantages to our adversaries. The U-2 was flown by a human pilot identified by the Air Force with only their call sign, Voodoo. Major assigned to the 9th Reconnaissance Wing at Beale Air Force Base in California. The AI algorithm, dubbed R2-Mu, in a reference to Star Wars droid R2-D2, was responsible for sensor employment and tactical navigation, according to an Air Force news release. And it goes on here. But there you go. Number one, I don't know why we're turning into Star Wars. Everything's turning into Star Wars, but also the AI advancements and the perceived pressures from other countries forcing us to, push AI further and further.
Yeah.
This arms race of artificial intelligence. And
I wonder if that's controlled by IBM too.
Maybe.
Beep,
what I'm wondering is why hasn't the smart AI, Watson, whoever, why aren't they on the front lines of battling the Nuke, the Solar Winds hack? Why aren't they in there?
It's interesting. It was a couple of years ago we talked about AI. Oh, what was it? AI-based cybersecurity, where basically you had an AI patrolling your network systems. Apparently, that hasn't made not much of a growth pattern in the past couple of years.
This just in. FDA gives green light to Moderna COVID-19 vaccine.
Oh, and Moderna has entered the ring, everybody. The pharma wars continue. Oh, wow.
It really is like a wrestling match.
It is. My gosh, this is shaping up to be quite a fight, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Pfizer, I think that's a good time we'll call it a show.
Yeah. We'll see how this all plays out. This is oh man.
I'm sure we'll have more updates. Interesting how it's exactly 7 days since the Pfizer vaccine was approved in the US. Huh. Okay. Well, they're 7 days late, but they are getting into the fight, folks. We'll see how many people faint or lose their facial muscles, or we'll see how the Moderna syringes work. See if there's any retracting needles.
They grow angel's wings and they start flying.
Yeah. It's
beautiful
interesting.
Angelic creatures.
We've really only seen real data coming from the Pfizer products regarding, Mark of the Beast, microchip type stuff. Maybe they saved all the microchips for the Moderna vaccine.
Ooh.
That is the one that Fauci has the biggest stake in, is Moderna. So
yeah, it's also the CEO. I have a video about why we shouldn't trust Moderna.
Oh, good.
The CEO is not a scientist.
Of course.
He's a fundraiser guy, and he has a messianic, what was the verbiage there?
Complex?
No, not a complex, but reverence. The article stated that I covered, he has a messianic reverence for mRNA technology.
Loves this stuff. Can't get enough.
Loves mRNA.
Just loves it. All right. Well, that's good. We will hear more about the Moderna vaccine on Monday. Well, actually, we need to talk about our schedule, Gons.
We do. I think we'll be okay for Monday.
Good Monday? Okay, Monday, December 21st. Monday, December 21st, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Put it on your calendar. Turn on notifications, depending where you're watching live. Click that little bell or whatever. Figure it out. More than anything, put it on your desk calendar. So you don't miss a show. And let's see. Yeah, thank you to all of our producers of episode 278. That is producer Vincent, a Unique Jewelry Boutique, Kara or Sarah, Spears Desert, Fortunato, Saul, and our wonderful artist, Allie. Thank you guys so much for helping produce this episode. Let's see here. Remember, you can become a producer of the show. And what better time to become a producer of the show than the first show after the approval of the Moderna vaccine? Monday's show is going to be great. So you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT, or even better, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
Don't forget to thank the Knight.
That's right.
Knight.
Oh, yes. And big old thank you to Sir Aaron Knight of the Wabanakis in the Valley of the Mighty Kuntukuk. We appreciate your knighthood and your long appreciated support, Sir Aaron. We'll make sure to we got to make sure to put them on the Excel spreadsheet so we don't forget. Yes, there you go. Now, like I said, please consider becoming a producer. We know the end of the year is a difficult time for many reasons, but there you go. And I will say, for those people interested in making end of the year tax exempt gifts, there is a special way that you can support the community in that way. Send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com if that's something that you're interested in. But other than that, you can also support the show by sharing it. Put it on your social media. Tag Gons and I will make sure we see it and like it, and perhaps share it as well. That's a great way to let everybody know what your favorite way to get your weekly news is, 3 times a week. And if you got friends and family starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems, and that the vaccine seems like there's not 0 adverse effects, perhaps you want to share the show with them. You can just send them an episode, and we'll be happy to get involved with that journey of theirs, discovering the truth going on and the manipulations going on in the media. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You just walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. And remember to leave ratings and reviews. Just go onto Apple Podcasts or iTunes or whatever they changed it to nowadays and search for Canary Cry News Talk. Now, also, one last thing. Remember that after each live episode, we also put out the podcast version of the episode with increased sound quality, and it's there free from the shackles of platforms like YouTube. And so it's a much safer way to make sure that you can access the library of Canary Cry News Talk content. So thank you very much, everybody. Gons, any last words?
Nope. I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Appreciate all the producers, the recurring producers.
See how he does that? He says no, and then he says all this stuff. Okay, everybody, come back on Monday, December 21st, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then, but before, oh my gosh, I messed up. December 21st, on Monday, we'll be back with another show. So make sure to tune in then. But until then, everybody, make sure to think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
Yeah.
the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
Demonic power!
Aliens. It will kill.
You can't handle the truth!